listening to the Northern Hunter Podcast, home of all things hunting, fishing, and outdoors in Alaska. All right, everybody, welcome back to the show. My name is James Payne, and I am joined here with my co-host, Chris Perez, as usual. Remember, before we get going in here, December 2nd at 5 p.m. at the Red Fox here in Fairbanks, Alaska, we're going to be meeting up with the African PH that I went overseas with. Sean Porter will be there. We're going to be talking all about how you can set up your own African hunt, your own African adventure, and it's going to be a great time. We're just going to have a few drinks, talk some hunting, and if you have any questions about the logistics of setting up a hunt like that, going overseas, any questions, I'll be there. Sean will be there. We've all gone several times. Defin runs the outfit. He'll be there, and it's just going to be a great time. We'll answer any question you might have. And we might even be planning a trip here coming up soon in the next year or two. I know I've been itching to get back to Africa, man. That place gets under your skin like nothing else. So just wanted to knock that announcement out before we get carried away in this episode. If you can make it, there's no need to RSVP or anything like that, like there was with the bear event. It's just open. We rented out the back room at the Red Fox, just so everybody knows. Have some food, have some drinks, have some fun. But we're joined with our good buddy, and must I say, a fan favorite, Maxwell Stepp.
Fan favorite?
Fan favorite.
News to me, man. News to me.
Thank you so much for coming in this evening.
Hey, man, thank you so much for having me back.
Yeah.
Love coming on here and jaw-jacking with you guys.
Oh, it's always a good time. I think the last time we talked to you was right before you were heading out for your fall guiding season for waterfowl. Is that correct?
That is true, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited to hear how that went for you. See any crazy stories, and from what I've been seeing and hearing, you going on some wild trips of your own, kind of in your personal time since the guiding season closed down. So, yeah. And then Chris and I, well, actually, you've been chasing some fur too, from my understanding. Dipping your toes into that.
Yeah, chasing.
Yeah,
not killing a lot. Chris took me under his wing for a day and just kind of gave me his play-by-play on like what he likes to do.
Mm-hmm.
And really, realistically, like when you get somebody who knows something better than you do, and you try to go out and you egg them and, hey, please take me out. Yeah, it sucks we didn't connect on anything, but I definitely learned so much as far as, as soon as you get out of the truck to like calling sequences to what you're really looking for, trying to shoot something off a call. But yeah, we did go out for better part of a day and just kind of bop around and talked a lot in the truck and sat there and looked down the scope a little bit. But didn't connect to anything, but I definitely learned a lot. It
was fun.
Good.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's the best way to learn. And I mean, heck, I've been following Chris around for a while now, trying to pick up on how he does stuff. So.
I better get my stuff together, because I haven't been killing anything. I haven't been busted like this in a long, long time. I've been getting busted like a mofo lately. I'm just crazy. And I know what I'm doing. I'm catching what I'm doing too. And I'm like, what are you doing?
To be fair, I'm surprised you even like tried in the earlier part, because you and I were even having a back and forth about the beginning of November, and you were like, nope.
It's too early.
It gets good in December.
It's too early. I never. It's too early.
And then like the third, he's like, oh yeah, I'm going calling.
That's the same.
Well, I try to work the bugs out, and I chase dogs too. Like I'll chase some of those redder fox and stuff. Like, and you are limited, because I try not to. It seems like every time you try to call early, I get cats, and they're usually brown.
Yeah,
they're not primed up,
right?
And then we've had. I don't know. I see a lot more rabbit tracks and stuff lately, because usually like this is a good time to chase coyotes and stuff like that, and red fox before they start getting all those guard hairs in and stuff. If you're looking for those cherry red looking fox, but I think that the ground's been so firm and there's such an abundance of food, it goes back to that old thing that I don't think they're falling for the old predator call like they usually do.
They're not hungry enough yet.
No, and they can move. They can move pretty well right now too. I mean, we've got some pretty hard crust on the ground, so and then things were loud. I just went through all my arsenal and like started clipping like metal parts off my gloves, like rings
yeah.
and loops, and
Mm-hmm.
just trying to get rid of noise and stuff because I feel like I got caught once because of noise. So you know your little adjustment clip on the sling?
Mm.
I that thing tagged the stock and boom, right onto me and gone. Like I've called critters in, but I'm just not,
because it's an unnatural sound.
well, yeah, and
any
it's
of that stuff.
nothing like that's going on out there. So you're banging on a stock, and then they're
Yo.
looking over, and bingo, there you are, and it's like, oh, okay. So I've actually been refining my gear again lately, like, and you got to go out a little bit to do that. I mean, whenever you decide to go out, you got to pick I'd rather do that now and make all the mistakes I've been making,
Right.
and I've been making a lot. So,
well, you and I were just talking about that 2 days ago, with the theoretical changes to gear versus the being in the field, boots on ground changes to gear, and the difference between, and even I've been guilty of this with big game stuff, long range rifles, all this stuff. I mean, I love, my weakness is I love the mathematics, I love the charts, I love the nerdy aspect of shooting, right? But you get caught up in that stuff, and it'll mislead you, and that's where a lot of people get caught up, is they'll start looking at, like, oh, I just don't know if I want to run my 22 mag this season. I think I need to go with a 17 WSM or something like that. And then you're like, well, have you killed anything with the 22 mag? No, but I don't know, man. Looking at the charts, and it's like, dude, just go out and kill stuff with it. See how it works for you. Like, use it in the field first. You paid for the thing. Like, and
yeah, agreed.
there's a lot of people that get stuck in that loop.
You start
I see so
believing-
many dudes get stuck on their phone. So that's one thing I see so much with new guys is this Onyx stuff. And it's like, Onyx is awesome, but it's like, dude, buried in the Onyx. And it's like, you gotta, I've been seeing it so much hanging with buddies and stuff. Like, oh, I got this spot. And you walk in there and you can't get in there. It's like giant thickets, or it's not what it looks like on the phone screen. And it's like,
Yep.
There's so much to be said for just going out and getting after it. And
what I like Onyx for is terrain features like elevation and water. And that's about it.
Which are relatively insignificant in predator calling.
Right, exactly. and so, but
Same
other than
though.
that,
Same.
Yeah, and other than that, like, you're not using it to look at what kind of trees are in the area, at least not in Alaska. You might be, I don't know if maybe some areas have better data, like better updated data than here, but I've been bamboozled by that app so many times, looking at it for, anything from moose areas to figuring out where I want to bait to doing all this other stuff. And like just like you said, you show up and the trees are nothing like you expected.
Mm-mm.
Maybe it shows full grown mature trees and somebody went in there and clear cut the area,
or
vice versa. It shows a clear cut. And now it's mature
you see
trees.
like a spot on Onyx, because this is where I've ran into in the area, which I'm just starting to call. I go in off of Onyx thinking, oh, if I go down this little trail, button hook into this spot, I'm gonna have 100 yards of visibility in either which direction. I could see right here on the map, it thins out. It thins out. But what I don't see on the map is, sure, I've got this huge opening, but all the trees are 3 feet high.
Right.
And there's 100 of them.
Yep.
And it's like, where do these come from?
Yep.
Like, I can't see anything in here.
Yep.
Or like, oh, there's a sweet little opening right there. And I'm gonna go call this little hole, right? This little puddle out in the middle of the woods. And I get there and the puddle is 15 feet wide.
Yeah.
And it's just thick everywhere around it.
I'm so anti Onyx reconning for calling. It's just get in there. Yep. Dig in it.
Yep.
Dig in it. Cause it's that same thing. You just do a bunch of homework and then you get there and it's a bust. It's
something to be said like that. Like, sure, I'm looking at stuff on like Onyx, like going, I'm like, all right, cool. And I go plot my, like you said, make a little track for the day, make like, I want to stop here, here, and here.
Yep. Have a game plan. So you're not getting hung up.
Right.
Yes.
And then I execute said game plan and I'm driving. And then I look over to the side. I'm like, dude, I bet if I got past that 50 yards of trees, because I could see past that 50 yards on that, I could see a little opening in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I bet if I get back in there, and that's something I just didn't really pick up on X. And then that's where I pull over and look and make sure it's public and I'm not trespassing if I'm trying to get in there.
And it's
or if
great
there's maybe
for
a little
that.
corner crossing I can get in there.
I would say what it's really good at is if you already know where you're going to go put boots on ground for the day, download that in an offline map so you have it. And then, your elevation changes so you know you're not walking off a cliff. And public land use, or, is it BLM land? Is it military land? Is it private?
I see guys get so stuck on this, and it's like, oh God, whatever did we do before Onyx? It's like, oh my goodness. It's
just went out and killed. That's all.
Right.
It's good having a little flight plan.
Yeah.
I haven't
taken that.
Everyone gets stuck on that
into consideration.
And then you realize I saw you were picking up on it. You can burn 2 hours like that. You can burn 2 hours in 5 minutes predator calling. Just spinning your wheels. And so if you kind of know where you're going to go next, and then, so you used to be my neighbor, and I had remember that Bronco that I had, that old Bronco that I was going to fix. And dude, I haven't had that thing in 6 years. It's still parked in my driveway on Onyx.
Oh, that's
really
how old the photos are.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and that's just a great testament, and you hack the right kind of stuff down. Stuff rejuvenates. I've seen wildfire, stuff that looks burned, and you go in there and it's freaking 14 feet tall.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, and when you're predator hunting, like Max was just mentioning earlier, 2 feet, 3 foot saplings that are regrowing after a clear cut, that's enough to hide a fox.
Oh, absolutely. That's enough for you not to be able to see what you're doing too.
Exactly.
I mean, I had a spot that I used to go get cats a bunch, and when I first started, and was it last year, I went in there and I'm like, I'm gonna hammer this again. This is good. And I walk in there, everything was 12, 14 feet tall.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and there was nothing. You could see for 400 yards in there, back in 08, but, and I'm like, shoot, I need to come back in here and cut everything down.
Something
new summertime project.
Right, yeah. Something I want to shout out.
I'm just kidding.
I like to shout this out. We're talking about Onyx maps, whatever mapping, Google Maps, whatever you use. I was scrolling my Facebook page, and this is back in October, end of October, only a few weeks ago. And somebody's commenting about, hey, does anybody know if this lake is frozen up? Hey, does anybody know what this lake looks like? Just doing some online scouting. And a friend of mine commented a picture, a up-to-date satellite image of a lake. And I was like, hey, it doesn't look too safe. It looks, I could see open water right here. And I asked him yo, what is that? Is that a website? Can I check that out? And he sent me a link. Can't read this whole link off, but this is something, the short version of it here is a Sentinel Hub. The browser has something like sentinel-hub.com, and it was a little tricky to kind of figure out. You got to find the layers.
Okay.
And how to overlay the right layers, and then update it and keep playing with it. And then you got to crop out where about you want, refresh it, and it'll give you pretty up to date. He was sending me pictures this was from yesterday. And then the next day I went on it and I saw, new stuff, and it shows you right on the overlay, when that photo was taken.
Nice.
And I started just using that, looks like that lake got, 100 more feet of ice, straight out. Or lo and behold, check that out.
Does it have any tools built into it, distance measuring and
stuff?
Or?
So many tools.
If you really want to plug that, text it to me. I'll put it in the show notes for this.
Yeah,
one.
that'd be great. But if that doesn't happen, it's some website called sentinel-hub.com. And like I said, it's a little tricky to figure out. But if you're half as electronically inclined as I am, you might be lost, but because I'm pretty bad. But I figured it out, and I was able to get some great live imagery of, different lakes and stuff
nice.
around. I saw my truck in the driveway, and I saw my truck not in the driveway.
Oh, no kidding.
Because I was gone.
Right on.
That was a full on testament of oh, duh.
Must be a leak of like some government website.
He was telling me
sounds sketchy.
he was telling me he was using it a lot for his North Slope trips.
Oh, sure.
Checking out when different lakes thaw. He works for the parks department, so he kind of bounces around, and good way to like help plan hunts and trips and
that'd be huge. Seeing like what's it look like right now.
Right.
Yeah. That wipes out all the question marks.
But yeah,
but then also don't spend, your whole day when you should be calling, looking at that stuff.
Right.
We'll fall back to that. Stay focused.
Yeah.
You got yourself a fancy new little tool for the job with calling, didn't you?
I did. Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
It's not all.
I was meaning to pick your brain about it. I've never seen. What
I'm
model
not
is
gonna lie
that?
to you. I haven't even shot it yet.
That's okay.
The thing doesn't even have sights on it. But it's funny. I was on Instagram and I follow like one of these this page called like From the Gun Counter. It's got the like hilarious like gun memes that get posted on it. And I saw something Palmetto State Armory was having like a 50% off sale of a Sig Sauer MCX regulator. Ooh. It's like the new California compliant like ranch rifle. Mm-hmm. It looks like a futuristic like Mini 14. They make them in I think like 308 and or not 308 but 7.62 by 39.
Okay.
And 5.56 or 223, whatever you want to shoot out of it. But I saw that it was like half price.
Spendy rifle.
It was at half price. It was still $1,400.
Yeah.
But you scroll down to the bottom of the page, and this was the real kicker. Before like October 31st, the Sig Sauer had a rebate on it. You buy one of these Sig Sauer MCX regulators, you get a free P365. A little concealed carry 9mm 15 round, great little piece. I sold a lot of them when I was working at the gun counter.
Heck yeah.
Then that's through a rebate. And then not only that, but you get, what was it? A Sig Sauer Tango, like they make a lot of them in like a 1-6.
Yeah. I think they got 1-6, 1-4,
yeah,
1-8.
You get like a $400 and something odd dollar optic for $100.
Nice.
So I was like, yep. I went out, because I just have all this money laying around after working all summer and the guide season. So I was like, why not? Let's test this thing out. So I bought the thing.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, treat myself. But the thing's sweet. It's all gas piston. It's got adjustable gas block.
Oh, heck
on the top of it, so you can run some hot and some low stuff and see what the gun really likes.
Does that thing take AR mags?
It takes AR mags. It takes your plain Jane AR mags.
It looks pretty sick.
Those MCXs, they make all sorts of different uppers and lowers for them. So it won't fit like your typical AR platform upper and lower. It's got to be an MCX.
Right.
But I've seen a lot of guys just run a bunch of different uppers and lowers on it. 2-stage match trigger.
Is that 16-inch barrel?
Yeah, the one I have has got a 16-inch barrel. I think it's got like a 13-inch shroud or 12-inch shroud on it. So the barrel does stick out a little bit. But yeah, I bought that thing and I put in all my rebates for it. And I went down and started my paperwork for a suppressor. I don't know if I'll be able to grab it before I leave.
Did you get approved?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
No word yet?
Still in that limbo stage. But from what I hear, it's been quick.
I was going to say, that's the thing. You hear like some are like literally same day, and then other people are still at several months. It just depends on.
It seems like a lot of the stuff where you're adding a trust is where it's really dragging and marinating.
Yeah.
Right.
It's individuals, like for anybody out there trying
quick.
to get a can. Individuals are where it's at. When you build a trust, for those of you who don't know, when you're getting a suppressor, there's two ways to do it. You could either get an individual or a trust. A trust is to have the option to, let's say you've got some family members or a wife or a kid or whomever, friend that you want to be able to use it as well. They have to get on there. They have to get all their fingerprints put on there, just like how you would do for it. They have to build their own profile, and then they have to kind of get integrated on like the same piece of paperwork you were going to do it. So that's why, of course, if more people on it, of course, it's going to take longer.
Right.
But from the guy who I had do it, he's been telling me that, the fastest he's seen is like 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, like on average, he's getting them buffed out in like a week and a half.
You know what I wonder if it is if like everything calms down and then one guy gets it done in 24 hours. Everybody hears that story and then floods the.
No, that's exactly what I think has been happening too. Because for like the last couple of months, we've been in like this election period, but I feel like a couple of months ago, maybe people weren't necessarily having their eye on the election or what's going on with politics. So it's kind of like that big lull. And then, in the last probably few weeks, everybody's kind of jonesing, maybe even going and buying a couple extra boxes of ammo. But now that I see with what happened in our political debate, that just happened not too long ago, I don't think this huge like rush in what we saw back in like the COVID era.
Think if you were a firearms company and this happened, your sales just plummeted.
Oh man.
I wouldn't even say that their sales would plummet. I wouldn't even think that I think it's probably going to remain
stable.
Pretty stable.
Yeah. But I mean, look at the spike. If we would have got old girl,
if it went the other way, well, that
it would have gone up 10,000%, dude.
You'd be waiting 2 years to get a can.
I do not want to go off on a huge tangent, but that whole big thing we had back in the COVID days, it was mainly because of civil unrest, and with the whole COVID thing going on, it pushed more people outside. More people were kind of maybe a little more scared to be on the streets or even in their homes, just not armed. So that pushed a lot of people to buy new firearms. Because I think don't quote me on the numbers, but we had something close to like 1.2 million, 1 million, give or take some new firearm owners.
Yeah.
And then what do you do when you buy a gun?
Buy another.
You buy a box of ammo.
Oh, sorry.
You buy a box of ammo for it, or 2 or 3,
then it's like potato chips. You can't have just one.
Yeah, right. But with that being said, you go out and buy a new gun, you buy a box of ammo for it, so that's potentially 1 million more boxes of ammo being sold, and then you get all these people who see the inventory in their local gun shops declining, so that makes them panic, and then they see what's going on in the world, and that makes them even a little more fired up. So then they want to buy a couple, and then I saw ammo fly off the shelves, and in 3 months' time, it was, they're gonna take our guns. They're they're gonna, if they can't take our guns, they're gonna take our ammo. And then I would sit there and face palm and be like, hey man, like, do you even know like what's going on right now?
Right.
Because you're just assuming. But that's where that whole civil unrest kind of came from, and I mean, and it happened back when Obama was president too.
Oh yeah. You remember the 22 long rifle shortage? 22
long rifle shortage. Like, what the heck was up with that?
Yeah.
But
I had so much 22 long rifle that when I heard about that, I was like, are you guys messing with me?
Oh man.
I couldn't believe it.
You couldn't find it anywhere. It didn't exist.
And I know people who came in and who were definitely a part of that problem, because they say, I got 5,000-10,000 rounds of 22 at home. Why don't you give me another box to put on there? Why not?
A brick.
Yeah. Come on, just cough it over, kid. And I'm like, all right, here you go. Like, I don't know why you need another 50 rounds on top of your 1,000 round.
I had enough from just having it, not from panicking.
But
right.
I have that same deal with shotgun shells.
Well, and I don't know. I understand the desire to stockpile, but like, you're right. At some point, it's like, come on, man. Like everybody's trying to get some here. Like,
remember when we couldn't get 223? That was crazy too.
That was wild.
Oh man.
But now on that 223 tangent with this new gun I got, now I'm also kind of like just tip of the iceberg, starting to, like what you were saying, like really want to look into the mathematics behind everything.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Going around, I was just like, hey, that's different. Like, I didn't see a box of that, like 5.56 or 223 off the shelf over here. I'm going to buy a box of this and run it through here and see what it likes. And I'm excited to get this scope. They sent it to me, but not me here. They sent it to my alter ego back in Chicago. So I've got I've got to pick that up down there because they won't ship this scope because it's got a battery in it up here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the failings of Alaska. They won't ship a scope with a battery.
Might
to me up here.
might freaking catch fire.
Yeah. They usually.
hazmat.
Well, no, yeah, they usually got those lithium batteries in them. So
Yeah. Huh.
So
Weird.
they wouldn't send it to me here, but I'll be home in less than a week's time, so I'm gonna grab it on
right.
on my way back. But
What'd you get?
I got a that 6, so I use that rebate, and it's funny. I did a little cheating on there. That rebate was gonna take like $230 or $330 off of one of those 2 SKUs they give you for that scope on the rebate. And the 2 SKUs are just written right there on the flyer. So I thought, I wonder if I grabbed this. I got a 6-hour Tango 1 to 10 in there with a second focal plane. And I would I wonder if I threw that in my cart, if it would register. And lo and behold, it did. So now I'm getting practically a $750 scope for a little bit under half price.
Nice.
So,
That's awesome,
I'm
dude.
taking that home.
Heck yeah.
So that's actually sitting at my parents'
And
house
which
right
one
now.
is it?
6-hour Tango 1 to 10. And it's the second focal plane. So
Yeah. What is that? 24 mil objective on that one?
that one,
Or is
I
it
think
a
it's
little
a
bigger than that.
26.
26. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, it's got the illuminated reticle if I want it. It's got some mil dots on it too.
Does that one have the dot or the chevron?
That one's got like a little horseshoe
That's
dot.
right.
Little
That's
horseshoe
right.
dot.
I remember now.
Which
Okay.
I don't love those objectives because it's so much junk in there.
And the whole thing lights up?
Just the horseshoe
Just the
dot.
horseshoe dot?
Yeah.
Okay.
I when I was down in Anchorage, they had one that was off that SKU from the rebate that I ended up taking a look at and
Mm-hmm.
playing with. But it was also only a first focal plane, so I didn't
Yeah.
really want to get into that. So, but yeah, once I get back from my winter,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully I'll have all the tools to put together for this rifle and be able to go out into the range and shoot some different ammo through it and try to see what I can do at a range.
Yeah.
And then hopefully walk away a happy camper with that purchase. So
Yeah. I've been battling a lot of shipping issues myself
Yeah.
with my setup. I got that 22 mag, the CZ 512. That's
Mhm.
what I'm running this season. And back in it must have been September, I decided I wanted to change it up because I'll pull the mic over with me, but you see it's got like some nice wood furniture on there.
Yeah.
Nice, it's just I don't want to goof that up.
no, that's
Last
all
year-
blued too. So you're going to run into rusting problems with it freezing and thawing, freezing
Exactly.
and thawing.
And that's what I kind of dealt with last year during predator season and beaver season was a little bit of that when I had it wrapped in tape.
Mm.
So what I did is I ordered this new stock for it that it's kind of more of an AR style,
Yeah.
and you can just beat it up and it doesn't matter. Well, I didn't realize my address is apparently not registered with the USPS. Like never was.
Hmm.
Like ever since being built, this
Right.
house has been around for 25 years or whatever, and just
Not-
not on
Welcome
the
to
list.
the dark side.
That's
That's
So-
the way all this is out here.
Yeah.
Same with us. We got to get like anything I order, I got to get it sent to one of Sam's friends at work.
Yeah. Well, so the weird thing is, so we ordered a ton of stuff when we first moved in. I mean, wife's ordering stuff for the house, and I'm ordering some stuff for the garage, and like, everything FedEx and UPS showed up no problem. And so I never even thought about it, and we have a PO box, but still, it was like when you're ordering on Amazon, you just send it to my house, Well, I ordered the stock for that, and it came to and from Alaska 3 different times,
Oh.
trying to be sent to this house, being claimed undeliverable, and then finally I got a hold of the guy down there, and he's sending it, I think, via FedEx now, so it should be here. But I'm gonna get this thing all wrapped up in tape again, so I can get out
nice.
and chase stuff because I'm just tired of waiting. I'm like,
Nice.
I don't know how long it's gonna take for it to show up. I'll address that issue when it gets here, but then I don't know, maybe have my new AR build finished by then too. But
Yeah, I've settled on that 16-inch barrel just because I think it would be better with the suppressor I've got to go on there. With that being said, I have like a Ruger AR 5.56 with an 18-inch barrel on there, which I really like. I think it's a tack driver out to like 200 yards. And I just thought putting a can on that would just make it so long and
Right.
so uncomfortable. But if I just do not like the performance out of this SIG, which I've watched a lot of videos on it and done a little bit of research. That, of course, that was after I bought it.
Mm-hmm.
but
naturally,
I'm looking
this a
at
good
these guys.
impulse purchase?
Yeah, and I'm praying it is, and I bet it will be. But I'm gonna put a can on that. And for those of you wondering, I got a an AB Warthog, like the AB A10
Yeah, buddy.
Warthog. For the price, for the price point, it was only like in the $500 range.
Mm-hmm.
I think like out the door with the stamp and the transfer fee, it was like just north of 700 something bucks. I've looked at it. I put it up next to a couple of other ones. It's a little shorter. It's a little lighter. It's not extremely heavy. I feel like it'd be a little easier to maneuver with it. On the end of sticking out the end of the barrel. It's still like 17 ounces, but it's only, I think, like 5.5, 6 inches long. So it's really not
Right.
too big and not too heavy.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's the problem a lot of people have with suppressors is the length. It just makes it a musket.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like, and especially if you're doing stuff like calling or even moose hunting, when you're in thicker areas. That's the whole reason I've never bought one before. I was like, this has no practical purpose in my life. But as I get into these rifles, like you were saying with the shorter barrels, the more suppressors are looking good to me. Because now it's not going to make it a 32-inch barrel on the end of my rifle. It's going to make it like a 26-inch, which is fine.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I'm trying to go for. It's something I could walk around the woods with. And like I said, if this just does not, if I just don't love it on this other rifle, I'm 100% prepared to throw it on my Ruger, which is no problem to me. I really don't care. I just want to shoot. I just want to shoot something.
Right.
The other thing is when you're calling and you put these long cans on, you're stationary. You're not moving. So
oh no, 100%.
And then traditionally, I mean, varmint rifles, they're usually heavier barrel, you know, configurations, and like a long gun's not really going to bother you calling. You're stationary. You're on a bipod, hopefully, and maneuverability is not an issue.
I'm fixing to get one of those Swagger QDs,
Mm-hmm.
like the 42 or like the 38
Yes, sir.
or 36.
The 42.
42.
42 is the one you want. I think they make the 36 and what, a couple shorter ones.
Yeah. I looked on their website. Everything's out of stock. And so is
you're a tall enough
Amazon
boy. You want the 42.
and everything. But I plan on putting that on there. I might even buy another one for the other rifle too, just because I don't want to switch them back and forth. But
Well, get yourself, I actually just sent them to James, is the QD adapter that goes to your sling stud.
Right.
And so you can order those separately.
So
and then I have them on all my rifles. And then I just have one bipod.
See, that's what I got to get those too.
And then on your AR stuff for like that SIG, you can just put your little piece of short pick on there.
Right.
You don't, because the one that comes with it won't work because you don't have a sling stud on there.
Mm-hmm.
So for like your AR stuff, you can put any
M-Lock
Picatinny attachment on there that will accommodate that bipod.
Yeah. I love that bipod, dude. That thing is
amazing. And one thing I'd recommend too, like on that SIG, I was looking at it, you got the QD cups on the stock and stuff, it's just something to consider. It's really nice, is you can take and put the piece of pick rail with the QD cup on it. So you're doing a 2-in-1, and the QD cup, you flip it around with the QD cups forward of your the empty space on that pick. And then when you go to slide that bipod on, it also serves as a stop, so you don't slide it off the end. When you're like sitting out at night and doing different stuff, I like that because you'll hook onto that thing, or you go to, say you're like doing some spot and stock stuff, you go to hook up on that and you just slide it off the end, hook it up, slide it off the end, hook it up, slide it off the end, as opposed to bumping into your QD connection there. Because so you can get that little piece of pick that's got a QD cup in it,
right?
And you kill two birds with one stone. Then you don't have stuff on your hand guard that's like over the top or on the sides. It cleans everything up, and then your sling's low. And then it seems to sit better too, because you're not using it in like a tactical situation. So you're not like quick drawn or throwing that.
Like slinging it. Right.
Yeah, you're not climbing a fence to go kill a coyote or like kicking a door in and going to your handgun, right? So you can.
See,
I mean, you never know.
That's the thing. Like,
you might need to use your predator rifle. For
I don't know.
I mean,
that's the thing. I'm so like
That's what I got.
anti-sling like now, opposed to like my one AR. I have like a 1-point sling, which I really like. Because it's right here in my little bread box, my little operating area right here in my chest, and if I need to bend over and do something, I could just sling the thing off to the side or like across
throw
my
it around your back. Yep.
and then just like be able to bend over, work on something, and then just rip that thing and swing it over to my chest again, and then it's all, like I said, it's all right here. I like using it. I don't have to worry about like setting it down.
Yeah.
Something I've been doing is with the whole like refining equipment and stuff, I'm not running slings on predator rifles anymore, like standard slings. I'm running 550 cord to completely eliminate noise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
it's
then
small, it's lightweight,
and then
it's easier
it's
to walk
thin. You don't have a
into.
sling because it's really crazy that sling, when you have that gun up on that bipod and you go to make an adjustment, it's really hard to manage all that movement, and that sling is just pendulum on that rifle. Whew.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have all that movement. That's how I got caught the other day. That's
Well,
why I'm putting 550 on stuff. And then what I'm doing too, you'll start noticing, you start running a can. Now what I'm doing is going muzzle down, because the gun wants to migrate muzzle to the floor.
Right,
So I'm leaving enough slop to run that gun muzzle down. And then when you're walking through stuff, you're not picking up like spruce needles and debris in that can, because it only takes one little bit of muzzle obstruction and then
Dunskies.
You get a stick in there or something, and it keeps everything clear, because you're usually knocking snow off of limbs and stuff. So you're muzzled down, but you're high enough up that you're not dragging it in your snow load on the ground.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it takes a little getting used to, because it's foreign, but I feel like it cleans a lot of that system up.
What I'll say is a lot of people I know have run like a braided 550 cord sling.
Yes.
Like they'll either buy or braid it themselves and run it. Takes me back to when I was in my Army days. We saw this kid. He lost his sling for his 240 Bravo, so he had a braided up 550 sling for his 240, and if you know, two big heavy 27-pound freaking machine gun. And I was like, that has to suck, because the bigger slings, like the one I had on mine, it was pretty wide and it had actually a little bungee to it, so it was kind of easier on your shoulders, and that thing looked like it sucked because it was only, God, what is that, like 1.5 inches, thick, and just running something heavy like that.
You
on
just
you.
know that kid had a braid imprint on his skin.
It just digs on you. But what I was gonna say, if you're running that little tiny 550 string, it probably doesn't dig into you, because you're so layered up to it. Probably won't even.
And then your varmint rifle's not heavy generally.
It should not be.
I mean, I've got some that are tanks that I run regular, but I mean, you got backpack straps on or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sitting on enough stuff that's accommodating that load that you're not taking that through the jacket or whatever.
Yeah, well, and you're also not hiking up into sheep country either, where you're,
you're very short rucks to stand.
So,
but yeah, I've gone on all my varmint rifles now. I sat down yesterday actually, and no more slings. All the 550 cord. So all the cool guy stuff went back in the closet.
Nice.
Well, speaking of cool guy stuff that people spend too much time on, I'll just want to plug one thing real quick before we take our first break here. So a lot of guys, when you're obsessed with ballistics and charts and all that lovely good stuff like I am, I love to see what my dope is. I love looking at my dope charts. I love looking at, what's my elevation, what's my adjustment. Max point blank range with predator hunting is awesome. And if you go to shooterscalculator.com, you can set that thing up. I mean, literally as small as so you put in what your target size in, you put in some bullet information and verify your velocity. Don't go off the box velocity. But if you put your velocity in there with some information from your bullet and your projectile, and what size target you're looking at, you can do literally like a 2-inch target, a 3-inch target, like so for the smaller vitals on these little critters. And then it'll give you your close zero, or what they call it, the near zero, far zero, and then like your what your yardages are. So for like, let's say for my 22 mag, I did this for my 22 mag. My near zero is 25 yards. So when I'm getting set up, I go to the range, I zero my rifle at 25 yards. That's great for saving ammo at that first zero. Now don't just do that. Then you take it out and you verify it, but you're supposed to be dead on. Now, where this might throw you for a loop, you can throw in atmospheric conditions into this calculator, but they're ever changing, right? So what it was when you wrote this calculator up probably isn't going to matter by the time you get to the range. That's why you verify. But then you don't even have to worry about it. It's point and shoot at that point. And so between like for mine, it says between 1 yard and 151 yards. I got this one set up for 2 3/4 inches. So if I do what this calculator says, and I verify that my gun is responding and reacting and doing what the calculator says it's supposed to do, it's point and shoot. I'm not worried about moving my turret. I'm not worried about, and once I learned to, gauge range within that, I think Marcel was talking about this a lot. Shoot that maximum point blank range a lot. Get familiar with it. Learn what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, it's just so simple. Like, and I think a lot of people look over that. I'll put that link in there too.
That's a good thing to mention, dude. And that's one thing I've been like buddies of mine that are getting into this too. And I feel like there's kind of a laziness, and I've been guilty of it, is you put the whole thing together and now you don't have a gun that's going to perform for the moment of truth. And there's nothing more heartbreaking than you call something in and you take a crack at it, and then you go check your gun. Like, you should have checked your gun before that encounter.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh, this is way off. You could have established that in a low risk environment on your free time, and not taking a big fat L. And like, I see these dudes, they're, and with modern day equipment and optics, you should retain zero. I mean, I've had some, back to my Leopold fetish. I have one rifle I got a Leopold on that I think it's been on there for 11 years. I've never touched those turrets. And I've been killing all kinds of stuff with that thing. I've fallen down rock faces with that thing, banged it up, throwing it in the truck.
Yep.
But stuff does get knocked out of whack, even good scopes. And I don't know what the deal is there, but
yeah. Well, the thing I like
things
about
happen, things
knowing
loosen.
Your point blank range is it eliminates the guesswork, right? Like, so in years past, I've always been zeroed at 100 yards, right? Just like any other rifle, zeroed at 100 yards. Well, then if you are shooting at unknown yardages, which you always are, you have to figure out in your head, all right, is it a little high? Do I have to aim a little high? Do I have to aim a little low? Do I have to, like, what am I doing here? When as long as it's within 1 to 151 yards, and let's say where that tree line is, right? You ranged a couple things when you first sat down. I know that tree line is 93 yards. You just hold center of body, it doesn't matter. Like, you're going to be within that 2 to 3 inch gap every time. Aim center of body, you're going to be from a inch and a half high to an inch and a half low.
And then, like you said, do your part.
Yep, do your part.
Go practice.
Verify that.
But
then you have that confidence, and you're not sitting there wondering in the moment of truth, doubting yourself, like, because it's real.
Like, we've touched on this in like previous episodes, and that's why it's kind of a good reason. A lot of guys, especially with their hunting rifles, have been switching over. I mean, heck, we started doing this in the military on my way out, is they were starting to do like a 200-yard zero.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That way, if you zero at 200, you're dead on at 200, and anywhere from like 50 to 100,
exactly,
you're only a few inches high. That's an easy, I wouldn't say adjustment, but an easy compensation for that. Just aim like a hair low.
If you even compensate for it.
If you even compensate on it. And then next thing you know, you want to crack at something that's at 300 instead of having, your typical 6 to 9 inch drop with a 100-yard zero. You're scratching that down to like a 3-inch drop,
right?
At that extra 100 yards.
Yep.
And now you see it on some of the boxes of ammo now, especially like the more higher performing boxes. I know like Hornady always shows a lot of like good load data on all their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even Barnes, some federal ammo. I see it on there. They give, your tables, like your muzzle velocity and like your dropping on there. And, like they'll have 2 different tables on there. One's at like 100 yard zero and one's at like a 200 yard zero.
Right.
I even seen it on some like handgun ammo too. They have like a 25 yard zero and then a 50 yard zero for handgun ammunition.
Yep. Yeah. 200 yards is almost, it's like you said, practically the new standard for a hunting rifle.
Right.
Like, why wouldn't you zero at 200?
Right.
I think
Like-
with predator hunting, a lot of guys get stuck on man-sized target, 2-inch vital window on an animal. And like when you're, and shoot for the vitals that you're going to be taking out. I mean, because it's
no shoulder shots.
A 6 foot man or a 5.5 foot man is a lot different than a 18-inch tall red fox at 400 yards. It's a completely different ballgame.
Big time.
Right.
I think what's the I think like a man-sized torso target is something like 18 inches wide to like 36 inches from, waist to tip of the head.
Yeah.
You
You hit somewhere in that zone.
If you're in the military, you know what I'm talking about. We have these like those green silhouette plastic targets, and you go to like any sporting goods store and get like a man-sized target, like a vital target. They're usually like 18 by 36 from tip of the shoulders from waist to head. Like that is your kill zone. But now you scratch that down to an animal being like that sideways, and then now your vitals, like Chris said, are only you pull a lung out of a fox. How big dude? Those lungs can like fit in your hand.
You'll literally like a good solid hit with a practical modern day bullet. You got a 2-inch vital window on a fox,
Right?
Like to anchor them with a
Yeah.
And then why do you want to step outside of that anyway? Why do you want to get like a 3-inch group and be like, that's good enough? Like and then you're contending with atmospheric adversities as well in these situations.
Even like conditional, like not even like just shooting off a bench. I listened to you in one of the last episodes, man. You said this like, and I'm a huge believer in train how you fight or like train how you hunt. Like shooting off a bench and some bags in the prone or sitting is way different than shooting off of a bipod, like leaning up against a backpack or the base of a tree. Or, I mean, like I don't even have a bipod on any of mine. I have a forward grip right there. And, that's even more challenging at, past 100 freaking yards. So like you said, like when you're going to the range, the range we have, there's a nice little awning there, and then they have
that's
posts.
comfortable.
They have posts. Yeah. And that's comfortable. Go sit on the ground, put a jacket, or I have a little climate, little blow up seat, put that on the ground and sit there and shoot off your bipod, shoot off your knee, shoot, free-handing from the seated position, put some real world application into your training before you get out, get your stuff dialed. Because
and the other thing too is you could be an awesome long range shooter, but this stuff's snap shooting.
Yeah. Right. It's
and
under pressure.
I mean,
it's quick. It's fast. There's something there now. I got to shoot it now.
You don't have time to dope and to make all these adjustments and go run to the car and grab a Zin and sip a coffee and warm your hands up. That's not the way this rolls.
You're sitting there.
This is here and now.
Yeah. It is a stress shoot. Like you are sitting there cold, more than likely uncomfortable, probably running a remote or a call in one hand. And with the other hand on the gun, you got to be constantly scanning.
Well, and this is something I'm going to mention. Like, and there's so many guys that are like, I don't need a bipod, and that's cool. That's cool. But you minimize so much movement by having that gun halfway to 3/4 of the way to where it's going to end up for a shot. And like, I have some weird stuff I do over the years of doing this, but like, I will take my stock and set it on top of my shoulder. Then I'll throw my optic out that way, because what you can do is you do that, and the reason being is you're not having to weasel that up under this on your jacket, because you'll start noticing you're getting caught to come up which is your armpit.
Trying to draw.
For those of you that can't see me, you're trying to come up out of like your almost
like
sort of under
ready.
your pec,
Yeah.
right, low ready, and you're getting hung up on gear, and that that stock's usually got a rubber pad or whatever, something that's going to stick to stuff. So what I do is I find it a lot easier to have that gun riding up here. So I'll sit
on
back.
top of your shoulder.
Yeah, I'll actually, and I'll almost have it optic deep on that shoulder. But the one thing you don't want to do is run your glass at your mouth and then breathe on that and then go to acquisition and you're blocked out.
Right.
So I always throw that over but it's very easy to do this number. And then what I'll do too is I'll put my hand up here and then I'll work my call. And I got a couple guys I've been helping. They're working the remote. They're picking the gun back up. They're working the remote. They're picking, and then
that's
you talk to these guys, and I'm not getting anything. It's like, dude, you're moving a lot. You're moving a lot.
Well, even the way I used to do it. So before you talked me into buying that bipod, because I was a big resistant to it as well. To be fair, I still don't like the original Swaggers. Like those big,
I don't think any of us do.
Cannon launcher looking things.
I don't think you're going to get any resistance.
I don't like
I just
those
don't
at
like
all.
They look heavy.
Yeah,
but that's what they had.
But that little QD one, game changing, dude. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But what I used to do is I would throw my coat on the ground and then I would lay on that. And I would basically find a way to lean back and just kind of sit with my knee where my knee's almost eye level, and I would just rest my gun on my knee.
Right. Yeah, that's
use
about
my knee as a
position.
bipod.
That's about my position. Sitting on my butt, one leg straight or kind of straight.
Yes.
One leg hiked up to a knee.
Yep.
Gun resting on knee.
Yep. It
butt
sucks.
stock in shoulder. Oh, it definitely sucks.
It sucks.
But if you could manage it for 30 minutes at a time,
sure.
Like, who cares? But yeah, gun into the shoulder, hand down low on the call. I'm not going back in and forth to my pocket. I got a glove on. I'm keeping it right there.
Mm-hmm.
When you see a lot of people working that call, it's picking it up to look at it, putting it down. And I think subconsciously you really are not aware. You're just not aware of how much movement you're producing.
Right.
And you really want to stay down. And like the other day I had a fox that he tracked me and he didn't see me. And I kept that down and I'm like, and he kept looking right at me. And then he cut my wind and I perfect line when I checked it, but he literally hit that line 200 yards out and he was gone. Mm-hmm. So he never saw me, but I was kind of paying attention to what am I doing here? And he never noticed me, but he smelled me because I didn't, and I knew where I should have sat.
Smell like Marlboro Reds.
And that goes back to the same thing as
that bear glove deodorant.
That Gusto cologne.
Gusto cologne.
But
we need to make that.
And that's another thing where guys like they sit where they want to sit versus where they should sit.
Mm-hmm.
And and that movement anyway.
Yeah.
The bipod's a good thing to have.
It really is. It changed the whole game.
It's not
I'm gonna invest in one. I'm gonna get one of those Swaggers.
And they're not even crazy expensive as the cool thing.
Under $200, for your setup.
Same with those seats. You should get one of those seats too. You'd love that thing, dude.
Dude, that's a game changer.
Yeah,
that backpack seat.
I've been thinking about it.
Do it.
I have like I said, I have a little climate.
Stop thinking. Just
I don't want
it.
Okay. Easy rod.
I want to see you order it.
But no,
right now, whoop your phone.
No, I'm gonna look.
You're not leaving
here. I'm going down to like turkey hunting zone. I'm gonna look and see.
Right.
Because they're gonna have all that stuff down there. I'm gonna look and see what they got and maybe come back with like more gear.
There you go.
But
it's always the goal.
But no, I have that little climate. And the thing that I love, I'm a plug climate right now. It's like KLMYT, whatever. But Clement, yeah. They make some sweet. I got this. Somebody gave me a shout out to my buddy Sam, who came out and helped us on our waterfowl season. But he gave me a little inflatable seat. It's just big enough for your butt, but he gave me one and to keep off that crossbar and the layout blinds and I'll tell you, I've stood on that thing with like aggressive boots for 15 20 minutes at a time, like walked on top and in and around that thing and thrown it on a bushel of thorns out this winter and sat on it, and that thing is not leaking. And it
you like standing on it too, huh?
Well, I stood on it in the layout blinds because I'm like, oh, dude, I cannot lay in these blinds anymore. Like, I also got to get up and see and look around a little bit and see if anything is coming in. But I would stand up, and next thing you know, I look down, I'm like, oh crap, I'm standing on this thing. I don't want to destroy it. But then I feel like you could send that thing through a snowblower and it would come out holding air. Those things, like, for the most part, the
Wood chipper.
That's a heck of a review right
the
there.
things seem pretty bulletproof.
Is that the one you had when we went out the other day?
Yeah, the little one. And it, you know what? I'm going to say this about it too. It takes one breath to blow that thing up.
Nice.
It's like,
Your lungs are like a standard,
hey, as a
like a standard man.
as a past chronic inebriate, you know, my lungs aren't, and I used to
chronic
and I used to have asthma too. I can get one good blow in that thing, and it's blown up. I really like it.
Nice.
So two
like it.
home stretch.
I'd be like one and a half if you keep from passing out at 1.5. I think you could get that thing dialed.
I wonder if I could hook an inhaler to that thing, man. Send it. Oh, my inhaler's frozen.
So let's bring this back from the current times. Fill us in on what happened after the last time we talked to you. So you went out. What was that? Was that the week before you left? Was when you were in here?
Yeah, close to.
Yeah.
I think it was close to the week before the season. I think I went down there like 3 days before and
Okay. Yeah.
started getting stuff set up and squared away and getting ready for it.
I remember that. Yeah. Because I was supposed to come down there and hunt with you, and then Chris and I ended up going on our
Right.
amazing adventure, and
Right.
I ended up missing out on
Camp
that.
Snoopy.
Yeah.
Yep.
I had to figure that out from Sean. Sean came to me like you were dead.
Oh man.
Yeah, he came out of the trailer. He's like, yeah, so I've got some information about James. Yeah, it's not looking good.
He's not
I'm
with
like,
us
what?
anymore.
I'm like, what is going on? Yeah, I've been trying to get a hold of him, and I'm like, bro, like, what is going on? Like, oh, okay, well, he's just all right. And I'm like, geez, dude, you maybe he's like, I haven't been able to get a hold of him, and then finally I've got a hold of Madeline, yeah, and I'm like, bro, like, what is going on?
Yeah.
But yeah, who's
That's my wife, bless her heart. She knew where we were, but she also knew she wasn't supposed to leak where we were, and so like, bless her heart. But yeah, she was keeping it hush hush with where we were, and she didn't give any information. So yeah, he apparently called her, and she was like, "Yeah, he's out in the field right now," and he's like, "Is he okay? Is he like, what's going on?" And she's like, I can't really say. And I'm like, Sean's in the circle. You can tell him like it's okay.
Oh,
But like,
yeah, and of course I don't have any like good service down there, so I'm not reaching out, and I'm
right.
also not in charge of making sure people are supposed to be there when they are. We got the boss, the guy, he's like John. He's the middleman.
Mhm.
He's the guy who books and contacts and make sure people have the point and where to be and what time to be there and what they have to be done. So
Yep.
it was great to have that. We're really starting to get that dialed in on the mechanics of how to run that business. But
Good.
but yeah, we had a great season. I'd say we shot a lot of geese.
Mm.
For those of you who don't know, maybe this is your first time hearing me, but I'm a waterfowl guide here, in the state of Alaska. We don't have a big long season like the lower 48ers do. It's mainly all September.
Mhm.
If you get really die hard and into it, you can traverse that into October and even early November if you have the right weather. We didn't this year. By October, it got pretty snotty.
Oh man.
By the end of October, it got pretty nasty. But yeah, sometime in August, I think August 27th is when I migrated south to the hunting grounds. We have got a private lease on close to a couple thousand acres down there.
Really?
Yeah, it's a big piece of property.
Nice.
It covers a lot. But yes, down there we hunt lesser cackling geese. And sandhill cranes. We get the occasional duck shoot out there, but not so much in the fields. Mainly you have to go to the water to find those. But we do have a little gravel pond on the property that holds some ducks. So we usually get one good jump shoot out in early morning. But yeah, I did that for we did 27 days this year. We started opening day on the 1st. I think combined between two different guides, myself and my buddy Ryan, 2 different spots. I think each of us had at least 4 or 5 guys a piece. So that's over 10, 10 to 12 guns shooting. And on opening day, I think we stacked 64 geese up on opening day.
Nice.
I think he shot close to 30 something, and I got 20 something. So,
heck yeah.
But yeah, it was an exciting season. Like I said, we shoot a lot more geese down there off that property, but we do have an insane crane migration that comes through here. Anybody who lives up here knows and sees the crane train.
Oh yeah,
come through. It could be absolutely wild out there. But we had no accidents this year. Thank God, hallelujah.
That's good.
We did have a couple very memorable moments out there. From we do a TFO, Fallen Outdoors. It's a veteran and active duty service member run organization. We get vets and active duty cats out in the field hunting, fishing, hiking, camping, whatever. We gave away a 8-man hunt this year, and we had, this is pretty funny, we had 7 guys show up on time. 1 guy was running behind, and that happens. I get it. It's hard to coordinate 8 people showing up 1 spot on time. I get it. It happens. And so we decided, hey, we got 45 minutes. We're supposed to be in the blinds here in like 10 minutes. We made a judgment call. We left one of our assistants there in camp in case the dude showed up, and we peeled out to the blinds. And about 5 to 10 minutes before shooting light, here comes the assistant out with the guide, or with the guy who was running late. He barrels out of the truck. And I look at him like, hey man, my name's Maxwell. This is what we're going to be doing. We're going to get in these blinds here. You got a bag or anything? And he's like, no bag. I'm like, yeah, I got a bag and water. He's like, I got a bottle of water. I'm like, okay. I'm like, you got a bag with your shells or whatever? He's like, yeah, my pockets. He's like, he's got these big old pockets. I'm like, all right, you got a couple pockets full of shells. All right, let's do this. So he rips the gun out of his case, out of the truck. And, I didn't really see it until the truck was pulling out of the field, but I look over and this guy's got an AR platformed, like 16-inch barrel, home defense, kick open doors and ask questions later style shotgun. And I was like, uh-oh, like this is not good. Like we need to get this out of the field. I didn't even ask any questions of what it could hold and what it was shooting out of it. So we waved the truck over and the truck comes back and I stuff that gun in the truck. I'm like, get this out of the field right now. And it was only after that till he tells me, he's like, well, the thing only holds 2 rounds in the magazine. I said, I don't believe you, don't care. Like, you're going to use my gun. Like, so we gave him a gun to use for that morning. And lo and behold, the thing, he had a block in the magazine. So it was technically 100% legal. I had never seen this before, but
heavily modified.
I said, all right, man. Like, what do you got for shells? He's like, I got these. I was like, okay, great. Like, how many shells you got? And he's like, well, I got 10. I'm like, well, that's very optimistic. That is extremely optimistic. If you're counting your crane, your Canada, and your speckle belly goose limits right there, that's in total. That's 11. So I'm like, the guy's very optimistic of what we're going to be shooting that day. And something, you hear these like quotes like in your guide career that just sticks with you, and it's almost traumatic, right? But the guy looks at me and tells me, he's like, yeah, I really didn't know how this was going to go. And that is something, and I was like, yeah, I kind of gathered that, man, from what I see here. Okay.
But, ammo's expensive these days, man.
But dude, lo and behold, he used my shotgun and he hit some birds, and not everybody limited out, but we did get a few. There was one day unfortunately, it was with Sean, our good buddy Sean.
Mm-hmm.
One day my party got skunked, right? And it just wasn't great. We had birds working, but they just wouldn't get close. Sean, he's used to hunting over in England, shooting them out of a ditch at like 20 yards.
Right.
It's pretty hilarious. The stories he's given me is shooting different birds over there. And so the whole party's got open chokes, just stuff that you should be shooting at like 15 to 25 yards. And, I called the shot on some pokes because that's really the only thing we had working us. But we had one good day. We had Sean, his kid, Marshall, and we had a single guy come out, Drew. Man, he was hilarious. He had it was getting a little slow in the day, and Drew was getting hungry. And if you met this guy, he was just a character, and it was really quiet out there. And then you hear, "Oh yeah, oh yeah." You're thinking, what's going on? And he pulls out this unwrapped Rice Krispie treat out of his pocket, and he goes, "Score, pocket crispy."
Yeah,
like,
buddy.
What is going on? He unwrapped this thing like an hour before, and we had some birds coming, so he shoved it in his pocket, and then the whole crew was just dying laughing out there about this pocket crispy.
He's got to brush it off and good as new.
But Sean was like really hell bent on shooting a crane, and just that day we didn't have any cranes around. I mean, the days prior there was lines and lines of them, but I mean that's just something you gotta account for. Hunting migratory birds is you can't get them a steady flow every day. But we shot a good amount of geese the first day, and so we're sitting there, and blind doors are open, just chatting, and Sean is to my left, and I'm looking at Sean talking to him, and he looks over me and goes, "What is that?" And everybody turns to the right, and here comes this lone crane, just cupped up, locked up, like coming in, just kind of gliding. And it felt like it took this bird forever to fly, 400 yards.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, "It's a crane." So everybody froze. I tell everybody, freeze, because when they're coming in like that, and the worst thing you could do is move. Like, we all got the blind doors open, so if you got a bird working you, like just to coming in, like the worst thing you could do is close up the blind doors and make all this movement.
Sure, yeah.
And I was like, just don't move, everybody freeze. And here comes this crane, lo and behold, perfect, right out in front of us. And I yell, "Take it." And this poor crane ran the steel gauntlet. I'm telling you, everybody got a crack at him. And I think finally Sean put this thing down, and it was pretty crazy. This thing was old. It was an old bird. Usually that's how those singles are. It's usually like a single juvenile or like a really old bird. And this thing was actually missing a foot. It had almost like a ball.
Really?
One of his
like at the
feet.
knee or
at the
ankle?
At the ankle, yeah.
Huh.
Completely missing his foot, but just had a big, gnarly ball. It's almost if you stuck your hand out and made a fist. That's about how its foot was. And
like a coyote got him or something.
You never know, because they, of course, when you shoot a bird like that, everybody asks you, "How do they get that? How does that happen?" And it's really like you have no idea. These birds travel thousands of miles.
Got shot off 5 years ago.
It could have been that. It could have gotten born like that. It could have,
right,
stepped on something and lost the foot. You have absolutely no idea. It's all speculation at that point. But he decided, he's like, "Oh, that thing's getting mounted." I'm like, "That'd be perfect." I thought like a good flying mount where the feet are sticking out would make it like accentuate that foot, so people look at that thing and be like, "What is that?"
That's awesome.
We had a great season. We had a lot of dogs coming in. The thing about our outfit is like we're big dog people. So if you've got a dog that is well trained, like they do get vetted first. Like we're not just going to let anybody bring their dog out here.
Just because it's a retriever doesn't mean it can retrieve.
Well, not only that, but we're dealing, sometimes it's it's just a big safety thing. Like,
Sure.
thing with like breaking, like dogs, like, well, I know the dog I worked, Bill, he's an amazing retriever. Like, guy will go hundreds of yards on a blind. He's just a great dog. It's just, he has a problem with something we call breaking. And when you get a dog that has that many hours in the field, he's heard a shot call, thousands of times that, all right, hey, get ready. Okay, shoot him. And they know what that means, because right after that shoot him, shots go off and birds start falling, and then the dog goes and gets the birds. So breaking is when you go yell, shoot him or kill him or take him or, whatever you do to call a shot. That dog will jump out of the blind and start running for birds that are still in the air, still falling. When you get a dog out in front of you with, half a dozen guns pointing out at it, that's a big no-no, big dangerous. But that's something we try to mitigate. I use a shot collar on them, just for whatever, either getting them to stop or keeping them in that box. I'm sitting there and I'm hitting them with like a little one or like a little vibrate, like a I'm watching you, dude. Don't be jumping out of there. But that's the dogs that we get out there. We definitely vet.
Yeah.
We don't just take any swinging tail out there.
But it's cool that some people can if they're well trained.
And I had some dogs out there, and this is my thing. I've worked with a lot of dogs and a lot of clients' dogs, and to a dog to where has never hunted before. It's 9 years old, right? It's never hunted before. It's just like a golden retriever. And like you said, just because it's a retriever doesn't mean it'll come out and get something and bring it back to you with haste. So the questions I ask are, has this dog ever hunted before? Okay. Has this dog ever picked up a bird before? Has a dog ever laid in a little doggy box before? Does it break? Does it whine and squeal and shoot and shove her and whatever and get like,
sure.
What does the dog do? But I had some awesome dogs out there. I had a dog, by what was this guy's name? I remember the last name, the Kleins. They came out and they had an amazing dog. This dog did like a 200-yard blind on a bird. I saw it go into the trees. She walked it. She sent it up to the trees. This dog did like trainer perfect, like tracked the bird all the way across the field, hit the tree line, worked it back and forth, went in the tree line, grabbed this half alive bird out of there and drug it back.
No kidding.
It was perfect. Like you couldn't have drawn it up any better, with also like little to no help. Like stopping the dog. Hey, go this way. Hey, go that way. Hey, come back to me. Yeah, we definitely, and I like getting exposure for those dogs too. Maybe they're just mainly upland dogs, and not everybody can go out and duck hunt or especially field hunt up here. You need a lot of logistical stuff, either connections and the ability and the decoys, the blinds, the doggy blind. But yeah, that was a dog that stood out to me big time. Had another dog, my friend Tristan Hendrickson and his girlfriend Annabelle. They came out with I think Duke. Duke is another certified good boy. But yeah, getting even like the puppies in camp. Some guys would bring a fully trained dog and then have a puppy, like even busting the puppy out in camp and throwing a bird across the yard for them, and just getting that exposure on a puppy and having the puppy watch the fully trained one so they learn off of each other. That's always cool.
Heck yeah.
There was there was a big day with that day with Sean where we just could not get anything to fall out of the sky dead, and it hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
It hurt my feelings.
Do you feel like the migration happened a little early this year? Or?
So I've been hunting up here for going on 7 years now, and every year seems a bit different.
Sure. Yeah.
This year, from what I've got, because everybody has been asking me, because I'm out there the whole time, what am I seeing? What is my opinion?
Mhm.
And everybody's telling me this year, oh, there's no birds. The birds didn't show up, or they left early, or oh, they left late. And
Right. That's what
they
I was
did-
hearing a lot too. Yeah.
well, from my standpoint, in previous years, September is when we start getting some weather. Like we start getting an actual good hard frost the
Mhm.
first or second week of December or September. We didn't really get that. We got rain. Like sure, it was a little rainy,
Yeah.
but that's not.
It was a wet September.
It
up
was a
here.
wet September,
Yeah.
and that's. I mean, we have wet summers, and
Right.
that's not enough to get birds to be pushed. What I saw, in my opinion, is we didn't get the classic big pushes of birds, right? It was a big trickle. Like we
Right.
saw birds all the time, not in mass numbers like we would see, like a day or two would be kind of skinny,
Right.
and then a big push, and then another couple of days, and then a big push, or then like a week-long push because of the weather up in Fairbanks or just north of Fairbanks.
Right. As
I
it's
just
changing coming south.
right.
Yeah.
I just didn't see that. I saw a trickle of
Mhm.
birds. And I think that's where everybody was kind of getting it misconstrued, saying, oh, they all left early, or oh, they're all leaving late, or oh, they're just not here.
Mhm.
That for my 2 cents, that's what I saw is a little trickle.
Right.
Now as far as like the geese go on our property, we have geese there all the time from early season all the way into the late season. I mean, even toward the end, we still had a few hundred birds working the fields that we were just shooting the crap out of them for days. But the cranes were very very sporadic. I mean, it would be like one day you'd see a couple thousand, and then the
Mhm.
next day you wouldn't see any.
Yeah.
Maybe 100. But we did have one day where it was like you couldn't keep a crane out of the sky.
Yeah.
We had some guys, the guy at Big Ray's, one of the guys who runs the gun counter at Big Ray's here in town, he came out with his friend. Both of these guys are past clients of mine. Good guys. They're funny. They are funny. And then the one guy's nephew and his friend, they came up from North Dakota. Big waterfowl.
The Dakotas.
Oh yeah, the big waterfowl population in Dakota. But they came up because they never hunted cranes.
Mhm.
They could not have picked like a better day. Like this was the day, and it was on the 14th of September. The morning started out kind of slow, really not much moving, and then you look out to the northwest and you just see lines and lines and lines of them coming, and it all happened at around, I don't know, 1:00
Mhm.
in the afternoon, to where we limited out. I think we shot 21 birds in about 45 minutes.
Nice.
And at that point, it took 3 volleys. The first
Mhm.
volley, we shot like 5. The next volley, we shot 6. And then the next volley, we shot like 9 of them.
Mhm.
And then we just started chasing cripples around. And then we were doing trick shots. Like me and my assistant, the assistant guide, Ed. Ed, he's just a character. I'm actually going down to Mexico this year for my birthday in February. I'm going to go hunt with him down in Mexico.
Nice.
But he has he's got an old Remington 870 with a extra full long range Mueller UFO choke in it. And once the clients shoot their limits, we like to start picking, the guides will start picking ours off, and we'll start doing some trick shots for them. But Ed was consistently dropping cranes up to 80 yards out. It was like something you've never seen before. And this guy he's doing the waterfowl 100, the 100 species of waterfowl you could shoot in North America or across the world. Actually, he's been to Africa. I think in some of the Afghanistans or something. And this dude has been everywhere hunting ducks, and he was such a big help up here with us this year. The dude just lives and breathes this stuff.
That's awesome.
He came up, and if you got to hunt with me, you've probably met Ed and you see how Ed operates, but Ed was just putting on a show for these clients toward the end of the day. I watched him go 3 for 3 at 60 plus yards on birds that most people have no business taking. And when he was hitting stuff, he was dropping it like a bad habit, just right out of the sky.
Wow. That's wild.
On top of that, biggest highlight I had, personally, we were fortunate enough to harvest not 1, but 2 GPS collared geese out of there this year.
Really?
Yeah, we had one day I was supposed to actually have off. We had one day where we just had a couple of people, and let's see, I got sick one day and decided I was just going to hunt anyway. And I ended up taking the other guide's group out, so he didn't have anything to do that day, so he kind of did whatever he wanted to do. And then a week after that, I was supposed to have the day off because we only had one group, and instead of splitting them up, one of us were just going to take them. And since I had a day off, he was going to take this day so I could have maybe I'm backwards, but he had a day off, and now I was supposed to have a day off. Well, lo and behold, the morning comes and he is just sicker than snot.
Oh, man.
So I wake up and he's like, yo, man, you're going to have to take these people out. And I was okay. So we went out, and that first day we shot a GPS collar, and I sent him a text message to the tent, and I expected him to be kind of kicking himself, which I'm sure he was, but he was just over the moon for me. And I was ecstatic. I mean, we had shot this thing, and I'd sent the dog out after it, and the dog comes back, and I'm looking, and I see this little shiny thing on its leg, and I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, is that a leg band? And then I hear one of the clients, 10 yards behind me, hey, is that a leg band? And I'm like, oh crap, it's a leg band. And everybody was shooting at this thing. How it went is we had this flock come in. They just weren't working exactly how I want them to work. And I thought, you know what? We had a lefty, this girl. She was on the end, and I said, hey, jump up and shoot that. Jump up and shoot one. They're not going to do it right, so just jump up and try to shoot one. So she sends around into one and kind of wobbles it a little bit, and then the whole flock, about 10 of them start flying away, and I get on the call and I get on the flag, and everybody gets back down, and I was able to bring them back in again, like they hadn't gotten shot at. And they fly right over the top of us, and lo and behold, this one who's got a butt full of hot pellets, is hanging about 5 to 10 yards, a little lower than the other flock. So they fly right over us, and I say shoot him, and everybody and their brother that was out there starts peppering this thing. And by the time I heard 6 shots roll out, this thing's still not falling. And I was like, no way. Like, this thing's going to die. So I jumped up and kind of added to the fun a little bit, and this thing falls out of the sky. Like, oh, thank God.
Right.
So fast forward to when the dog's bringing it back. It's got a leg band on it. And this is the first leg band I've ever been a part of harvesting in Alaska on a goose. I've seen and helped a couple other guys shoot their leg bands on ducks, but I've never seen one on a goose in Illinois. I would shoot 1 or 2 of them every year I hunted in Illinois. First one I ever seen up in here. I thought it was cool. I'm so fixated on this leg band. I walk up to in front of everybody, and I'm kind of showing it off. I'm like, guys, check this out. I was just super happy. I'm like, guys, check this out. We got a leg band. This is the banding project. This is cool. Like, trying to get everybody hyped up about it. And then the girl on the end goes, what's that on its neck? And I picked this thing up, and I was like, no freaking way. And I start running circles around the blinds, flailing this goose around, getting all excited about it. So now it came to the decision of like, who gets this thing? And I'm not gonna lie, I was very selfish on the matter. Yeah. If anybody, whoever was there, like, I'm gonna admit, yeah, I was super selfish. I said, hey guys, I'm keeping this nut collar. Right. So I kept this net collar, but we did what I like to do. I tell everybody who thinks they hit that bird, and of course, all 6 hands go up.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
And I'm like, well, I know I shot at that bird too, so I'm gonna put my hat in the drawing. So I got 7 shotgun shells. And I took a feather and put a feather in one shotgun shell, and like just flipped them upside down, covered them up with my hands, and went around down the line. Everybody picked a shotgun shell, and lo and behold, that girl who shot first pulled that last. It was between me and her. And she pulls that last one out, and she had it. And I was like, all right, there you go. You got a leg band. Congratulations. But I'm keeping that collar. So, I ended up hitting up Michael Guttery from the Alaska Department of Fish and Game.
Mm-hmm.
The collar, it was pretty cool. It's just, about the diameter of like a Red Bull can in total.
Okay.
On either side of it, there's a little solar panel. There's 2 solar panels on it.
Really?
And on the bottom of it, there's a little tag that says, "Hey, you shot my bird," type thing. On the bottom of it, there's a little tag that says, "If found, please report to address, email address, and a serial number on it." So I emailed Michael Guttery, and I emailed him, "Hello, Michael. My name is Maxwell Stepp. This is what I do. I regret to inform you I've shot one of your birds."
Mm-hmm.
And guy was super cool about it. He's like, "Oh, great. That's why we put them on there, so we can harvest them." But I ended up sending that back to him. Got some really cool migratory data on it. We had shot this thing 2 years to the date of when it was banded and
really
and tagged. It was banded and tagged September 16th of 22, and we shot it September 16th of 24. So we had 2 years of migratory data on this thing.
Awesome.
Turns out this thing was banded in the greater Fairbanks area. The map was really expanded because it's trying to show the entire flight path. Banded in the greater Fairbanks area, and had traveled down to like southeast, northeast, southeast Washington, northeast. What's that right below Washington? Oregon. Oregon. I actually went on Google Maps and found a huge body of water. One of the state parks down there, one of the forest preserves. I'm like, oh, lo and behold, that's probably where it was.
Nice.
But yeah, this thing had made its way. It wouldn't tell which way was down or up, but 2 years in a row, it traveled down through Tok and bounced out through was that Alberta? Bounced down through Alberta,
Okay.
then down into Washington, and either down or back. It would kind of hit the coastline and travel down through like Juneau, Ketchikan area.
So that'd be like Yukon territories in British Columbia.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe not Alberta, but yeah. Yukon territories, BC. And then back or down, it would travel through like the Ketchikan, like coastal area, and then back up through, my guess would be like the Copper River area, all the way back up into the Delta, Fairbanks, and
wow,
maybe like Minto area.
That's wild.
And that is something, if you're a waterfowler, you really know, like that is something that's absolutely coveted. Like put off to the side, it was leg banded. Like that's something that you get like 1 in a couple thousand, geese you might see or shoot have a leg band on it. And then to get one with a net collar, a GPS transmitted net collar. Now keep in mind, these things are, $1,500,
right?
$1,600. That's an expensive piece of equipment to put on a bird that you might never get to retrieve that band.
Yeah, that could get eaten by a coyote or
something
else.
Yeah, it could die of whatever,
right.
and nobody could ever find it, and then it's just out in a field or bottom of a lake somewhere, and they never find it.
Mm-hmm.
But to be able to harvest one and to get that back to the bander, he actually sent us a replica, and I hit up that girl after the season and was able to get a replica GPS collar. It's practically the same exact thing, except it's just missing all the expensive bits in it.
Sure. Yeah.
How
cool is that?
It was insane. So I got her the map. I believe I got her the map, and that collar guy sent us a couple nice stickers and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that to see like a GPS collar come off of a bird, like that's probably 1 in 100,000. If I had to guess. I mean, I've never heard or seen anybody that I personally know harvest one. Of course, you see pictures of them online.
Sure.
Like a duck with a backpack on it, or, you know, I'm not kidding you. Like they radio collar ducks, and it's almost like a backpack they put on this thing. Yeah, with a little antenna sticking out. But and then 3 days later we shot another one.
No kidding.
Yeah. And that was with the Kleins with their dog. That was that one that we sailed off into the woods. Dog tracked it all the way to the woods, chased this thing through the wood line, and grabbed it and brought it back. And lo and behold, that thing had a neck collar on it. So that's a crazy attribute to even have for, let alone a hunter, but a dog.
Right.
Like some people make a huge list about all the bands that their dogs have even retrieved, because sometimes it's not even the hunter getting it. Like the dog's gonna always have a piece of that action. Like maybe if like all three of us go out, right, and let's say you shoot your 4, you shoot your 4, and I shoot my 4, you know, the dog's picking up all 12 of those birds,
right?
Like, and we're only handling 4 of them at a time. So that's a cool attribute that dog can, like, yeah, my dog's picked up a GPS radio collar.
You know, I'm not gonna lie, when you'd mentioned you guys picked up 2 of them, you know, you guys got 2 GPS collared geese. I was almost wondering if they were banding them before they migrated down, and you're picking them off before they got down there.
And that's like,
hey man, quit shooting these.
That's a super real thing, especially here in our neck of the woods. They banned them just north of us in the Minto area. They banned them here in Fairbanks off the Kramer's Field.
Mm-hmm.
I know guys. I know one guy who went out this year and they shot 7 bands in one morning, and they were all banded about 15 days prior.
Oh,
1,000 yards away.
Yeah.
So
that's right. It's cool that one had at least 2 years of data.
Well, both of them actually did.
Nice.
Both the leg bands, they were 11 numbers apart. So they were both banded on the same day. And they both traveled relatively the identical flight paths. They both ended up in that Southeast Washington area.
You should get that like printed off on like a big thing and like put it on your
I'm
wall.
way ahead of you.
Yeah.
I'm way ahead of you.
Yeah. Get all artsy with it.
No, I shot one on my personal time after we wrapped everything up, and it was after it got a little colder, so the pin feathers kind of come out of those birds once it gets a little colder. The taxidermist really appreciates when you shoot a cold bird, because, you know, all those feathers that they're going to preen out of it, which will eventually fall off anyway, are typically all gone from there. So it makes it
a little easier on them.
A lot easier on them to make a nice, presentable bird where the feathers aren't just going to fall out in a couple of years. So we got that done. I shot a nice bird toward the end of the season that was a little nicer, and when I was like, all right, I can actually keep for myself. I dropped that off of the taxidermist, but I've got a line on another replica collar, and I took the numbers off of that band. I'm going to get a replica leg band made.
Oh, awesome.
And then I'm going to put that map I went to like Office Max the other day and got a print off of the map, and I'm going to hang that up with the mount next to it. So it's going to look pro.
That's awesome.
It's going to look good. And that's
wild.
and that's something we can take down to the camp too. We have like probably 3, I think we have like 3 mounts between like a crane, a specklebelly, and a snow goose. So we hang up in camp, and just, it's cool to like, people could see them. Like,
oh, sure. Yeah.
And then
especially somebody who might not know what they look like anyways. You know, maybe they didn't do their research.
Right. And we're also sponsored by that guy who does I don't know if we're sponsored, but we like to promote him because he's like the only guy in Fairbanks that does waterfowl taxidermy. So we got a banner for him and have some of his work hanging up there. We got his cards in there and be like, oh yeah, this guy, you know, we get a little kickback if you bring a bird to him, and his turnaround is fantastic. This guy out in North Pole. Me and my friend shot a bufflehead not too long ago, and it was just a beautiful, beautiful, nice bufflehead. And some of my personal time, me, him, and his wife all went out, and me and his wife just absolutely cremated this one bufflehead. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, this thing's so beautiful. Like, this is a duck I'd want to get mounted." And I'm like, "Well, if it had 80% more of its feathers still on its body, it would probably be good. But I don't know if you should do that with that." And so she was a little depressed. But me and my buddy, we shot a nice one out there, and I thought, hey, we can go get this thing mounted. Like, her birthday was coming up, so we gave that to her for her birthday this year.
Dude.
And the guy's turnaround was 1 month, maybe.
Wow.
Like less than 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Turned it right around, looked good for the money. I mean, unless you want to send it out of state or even down to like Anchorage, you're going to pay north of like $300, $350, and then you're going to have to pay the postage. And there's since waterfowl are a federal species, you got to put some paperwork in the box with it too.
Yep.
Send it out, pay the postage to get it back. And on top of that, you're also waiting 2+ years for stuff. Usually, if they're good, you're waiting like 2 years to get this thing back. I mean, I've heard some just horror stories of guys, 3 years down the line just bugging people like, "Yo, where's my bird?"
Man.
But yeah, this guy, for the money and the turnaround time, 100%. I'll take that guy.
Nice.
Any day of the week. But yeah, so that second GPS collar, I'll admit I did shoot at it because it was one of those situations where it's like those birds get hit and I'm not letting them get away. I mean, I've got an extra full choke on my gun for a reason. It's just to back clients up. And it's not like I'm backing up somebody on a Cape buffalo in Africa.
No, but you don't want to send off a wounded animal.
No, heck no. And that's just more work for me. That's more work for the dog. We got to get out of the blinds. Birds are flying. I'm not trying to waste that time. So I'll put another round in them just to get them knocked out of the sky good. And but I said, hey, guys, like, we just ran into this thing a couple of days ago with all these people. Like, I don't need to put my hat in the drawing. And I think they ended up I was hunting with 2 different parties, and thank God they like knew each other and they were like friends. so I was like, you guys can rock, paper, scissors for like, maybe one guy wants to get the leg band and the other guy wants to get the collar, and then this and that and the other thing. So the guy's like, "Oh yeah, that's a good alternative." So that's they ended up rock, paper, scissoring for the collar, and then
I'll Rochambeau you for
that's exactly what happened. So they got that sorted out, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not in this, man. Don't look at me. This is between you guys, man." Because usually if you have 2 different parties out, and let's say you shoot an odd number of birds, they look at me and I'm like, "How do you want to do this?" I'm like, "Hey, listen, guys, like, this is your hunt. I'm not going to be like that guy. You get 3 and you get 4. Like, I'm not going to be that guy. Like, hey, we could take him to camp and cut them all up, and then there's 2 breasts for every bird, right? So that should, either way, it should make some even number.
Right.
So like, if you cut all the breasts out and then divide up the breasts between the 2, you're like, that's fine. That's all your business. But I'm not going to be the guy who's like, "Well, you shot more than he did," or whatever, because some guys go out there and they shoot a box of shells and they just can't hit anything. But it's like, hey man, like, you're out there, you're sending lead down range, like, and honestly, you have no idea.
Well, hopefully not.
Well, hopefully not
steel.
Lead. Steel or any other non-toxic. But yeah, and some people are super, super cool about it. Like, we'll have parties come out and be like, "Hey man, we got to drive back to Anchorage today. It's like 3-4 o'clock. We ain't going to get in till, midnight or later at this point. We got to go back and pack up and get out of here. Like, we got to go." So it's all right. We got to go. And then they just pick up and start walking out of the field. Like, "Hey, don't you want your birds?" And they'd be like, "You can have them." Like, they just give them to the other party, and the other party's all like, "Oh yeah, sweet. Like, we got some birds now." Those were the 2 highlights, definitely, of the season, shooting those 2 collars. I mean, I put that on Facebook with all of my waterfowling friends back home, and they're like, "Dude, you got a 4-leaf clover stuck up your butt right now. Like, you better go buy a lottery ticket."
Right.
"You better go buy $100 worth of pull tabs." something, man. You gotta go start riding this luck train. And
Yep.
but yeah, we had a great season as far as that's concerned. Shot a lot of birds, and I wouldn't even say we got skunked that one day because it was just Sean and his group, both days. And if they come down for 2 days and they shoot something, I mean, I wouldn't totally consider that a skunk, but
right.
They put some steel and some birds that second day. It was just tough. It's
right.
like we were hunting a different spot out of a different blind. Birds were coming, but they just weren't coming into us. And then, we try move some different things around. Then you're sitting there scratching your head. And that's the worst. That is like the worst thing as a guide, is when things aren't working for you. Like, what can you do to make something happen?
Right.
But yeah, on top of that, things were falling apart with my truck left and right out there. Let me tell you that. My 4-wheel drive went out one day. Let's see, I broke the inside door handle off of my truck, so now I got to open it I got to roll the window down and reach out and open it from the outside.
No.
I had a sending unit for the oil pressure go out one day, so I'm driving out and my oil pressure drops to 0. I think my truck's about to blow up. Turns out the filter was just clogged a little bit, and it was just sending a bad reading. Like, it was stressful, to say the least, for old Maxwell out there. Like, things just breaking left and right, and I had no idea. I just kept rolling with the punches. But
that's how them trucks go, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. And Delta, if ever been a Delta's not the place you want to break down.
No, no. I think there's a Napa down there, isn't there?
Yeah. But they ain't open on the weekends.
No, they're not. And that's the only thing down there. So.
Yeah.
And then if they don't have something.
And then if they don't have something, it's getting shipped from Fairbanks.
Right.
Usually.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I was going to ask you, you mentioned you guys have a 20-day or 27-day season. Was that just where you guys cut it off because you weren't seeing the numbers, or is that kind of standardized? Because I know, like, I'm thinking back to like the charter boats down for salmon, like for netting salmon. They have like a cutoff point where, there might be some runs coming through after that point, but they just can't guarantee the clients will get what they're paying for.
Yeah, that's so. Like I said earlier, this is our second year doing it out of these fields with this outfit. The year prior, we did not book like the first week of the season. We just didn't have fields cut. We didn't really know how to hunt these uncut fields. You don't really want to be stomping around in the farmer's crop and messing things up while they're out there trying to work.
Sure.
And last year we went out to like the 26th, the 27th, and by then it was getting really thin on birds. For whatever reason, I think a lot of them moved a little quicker. Last year we had a lot better frosts early on. It got colder a little quicker, so it pushed all those birds out. This year we really just kind of based it off what we saw last year, kind of seeing how the weather would play out. And we decided to book that first week. We figured out how to hunt those uncut fields without just tearing everything up.
Sure.
And then since, the year before, birds are kind of running out toward the end, we decided not to hunt that last few days of September. Also, we needed to be out of there by October 1st. They open that up to, they have like some family friends that come in and try to moose hunt the property. So we don't want to be in their way.
Gotcha.
They don't want to be in our way. So that was kind of the deal. It gave us a good couple of days to pack everything up nice and slow and make sure we got everything squared away.
Not put it away wet. And,
right. And, but this year I would say we had the birds to probably run it to the end. It was getting pretty tough. They were getting extremely educated. Toward the end of the season, the geese especially, they started really acting like geese. It's kind of weird when I say that, but in the beginning of the season, it's still warm. They really don't have any reason to, develop a pattern. Beginning of the season, shooting lights, sometime close to 5:30 in the morning too. So they're up at like 4:45 because it's daylight, and they're moving out to where they're eating, and they got all day to eat and kind of bounce around. Toward the end of the season, when the daylight started shrinking a little bit, and our fields got cut, we saw the birds really developing a good pattern. They'd come in the evening, we'd put them to bed on a field, they'd leave right before dark, they'd head back to the river, find water, drink up, they'd rest. Then in the morning, 9 times out of 10, they're going to come back to those same fields they were at the night before.
Mm-hmm.
So we would be using that evening to kind of see what field they would end up on around us, let them get kicked out of there, and then we'd go in the dark at like 10:30 at night, 11 o'clock at night, set everything up, and then the next morning we would just beat the crap out of them. I think we had a 10-gun hunt out at this one spot, and I think we shot 26 birds by noon.
Wow.
Which is usually they come in, they eat all the way up until about midday, and then they bounce back to the river, and then right around 2-3 o'clock they'll come back and feed again.
Mm-hmm.
But once you bust them out of a field in the morning, they're not so likely to come back to that field. Like you might get some new birds that are just kind of bouncing around and they see the decoys and think, oh, there's a field with birds in it, so they'll come in. So the later in the day, we only shot like 3 or 4 more after Lunch. But that morning, 26 birds on the ground by noon, that's a freaking good shoot.
Yeah.
But yeah, he also got 10 guys, so that's a lot of guns going off to drop those birds.
That's awesome, man. Well, tell me a little bit about your postseason activities, your private stuff, because you were telling me in the green time how many days you hunted, and it was pretty damn impressive.
I mean, even during our guide season, we had days where we didn't book. Somewhere around like the 4th or the 5th, we just didn't have a day, and we technically had a day off. And we thought, what would be a good idea is if we woke up even earlier and grabbed the boat and then went to the lake, and we went and duck hunted the lake, on our quote unquote day off. So, I mean, during the guide season, I hunted 27 days straight, like did not take a day off.
Nice.
Even I got sick one day, and lo and behold, I got lined up with a half a day. Like, thank God, because I was feeling it. And another shout out to Ed. He brought this Mexican cold and flu. He's retired in Mexico, so he comes up from Mexico. But brought this Mexican cold and flu medicine that just whooped my cold butt. Oh, like
they got all the good medicine down there.
What was it?
Oh, ¿Qué pasa, güey? I don't know.
You no sé.
Yeah, no, I don't know. But whatever it was the good stuff. I went from feeling deathly ill the night before to feeling decent the next day.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we packed it up close to the 27th. I think we took like the next day, we ended up going out duck hunting. And then I was stuck in Delta trying to get my truck fixed for a couple of days. I had a buddy come down and hunt one more day. So that was that's close to like 29 days right there. Get in my truck, come back up to Fairbanks, and lo and behold, we still had ducks working our immediate area. I linked up with some friends, just trying to get out after my season. I had some friends take me out, and we had a couple of good shoots on some of the lakes around Fairbanks. And then that really broadened my horizons now because it's October. Like the boat launches are still good. There's no ice. It hasn't been crazy cold. Haven't had a lot of snow at this point. So it was up to me with my boat now, calling everybody I know, like, hey, do you want to go try this? Do you want to go try that? Hey man, I think we might be doing good over here. So toward the end, after, almost 30 days, hunting down in Delta, I came back up in here and hunted about 10 more days around the Fairbanks area and did pretty good. Learned some new stuff. We hunted some big water. Heck, one of the days we went out and we shot, I think 18 scoters.
Nice.
Yeah. They're a sea duck.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were able to go out and we just
lost a little bit.
Oh no, they nest. So they nest inland in the summer. Like, yeah, I've been up on the upper Chena. I said this on one of our previous episodes, but I've been up on the upper Chena fly fishing for grayling and seen copious amounts of sea ducks flying back and forth, whether it's like a harlequin or old squaw, these like coveted, sea ducks that people, come all the way up to Alaska or like our coastal regions just to hunt and scratch it off their bucket list. They're flying right down the pipe to me while I'm fly fishing for grayling.
I saw a lot of goldeneyes this fall.
A lot of goldeneyes.
Like,
so
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, so that's a diver duck, but they can be mainly found on the coast right now. It's a great time to go down to Whittier, Homer, Valdez, anywhere in the Prince William Sound, Seward. They are just loaded up all up in these fjords and coves and inlets. But yeah, goldeneyes, the Ducks Unlimited here in Fairbanks, I think they partner with UAF. And they have a goldeneye bird box project up off the Chena. They take college students and even like kids, they get out and they go drive posts and they set up basically a big birdhouse for ducks.
Is that what those things are?
Yeah.
We were trying to figure that out this fall. We were doing some other stuff and we were finding those.
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
They're just right up along the bank of the river, just on a post. And it looks like a massive bird box.
Yeah.
But that is for the goldeneye project that UAF and the Ducks Unlimited does up here.
No kidding.
They get a lot of good data. They go in there, they sex them. I don't know if they particularly banned them out of there. I don't see why they wouldn't. But they do a lot of projects with them.
I'd be interested to see how their diets change, because like you would almost think, being coastal and divers especially, I mean, you'd almost think they would just migrate up and down the coast, right?
Right. Well,
but if they come inland, that's a whole different.
Well, they fly up like
whole different food source.
They fly up like the Cook Inlet, all these inlets. They fly all the way up the Tanana, the correct me if I'm wrong here, but like the Tutsamina, the Tatalina,
yeah,
and into the Chena. I mean the Chena, the Chattanooga, at the Tolvana. I mean, they just use those waterways as just super highways back and forth. Now they'll eventually make it down to the coast. But we shoot a lot of them in transit. Like we shoot a lot of goldeneyes, especially like on the big water, because they are divers. Definitely not. They're definitely not frequenting, little ponds, little puddles, but anything that's got more than 10 feet deep of water in it, and that's big, that's got a couple of acres. They'll come in and then hit it. Especially with those sea ducks. I mean, it's not uncommon to shoot those wild sea ducks. I had a friend who shot an old squaw across the street from Allison Air Force Base years ago. Saw one out there. He got in his kayak and paddled out to it and water swatted it. Nice. Like, that bird wasn't lost. He was just a little behind. But yeah, we went out and shot a lot of divers. We got lucky with shooting some puddle ducks. I mean, heck, I went out one day by myself, and this is crazy. I actually went 7 shots for 10 ducks. I had it was pretty hysterical. I went out and sat on this gravel bar, and lo and behold, 1 duck comes in, got it right. 2 ducks come in, bang bang, got 2, and then a 5-pack comes in, and I shoot 2 out of the sky, and then I water swatted 3 with 1 shot out of there. So I'm like, all right, I'm getting on the board here, and then it was a couple of shots for 1. So well, that last one I needed, but yeah, it's there's a lot of, now that I'm starting to really broaden my horizons, especially this year, we had that easy winter, that kind of approach to winter.
Yeah, it was easy until it smacked us in the face. Yeah,
and even that day, it was on a Sunday night. I was out duck hunting. Like, I knew this one lake, the boat launch was just terrible, so I went to this other lake, and boat launch was a little manageable, and I brought my pea gravel, and I brought some ice melt, and the boat launch was a little iced in, so I just ended up smacking the boat into it and breaking up all this ice to get the boat launched. But was able to get out, and I sat out there in the freezing rain. I'm not kidding you, it was freezing rain, because by the time I went to pick up my shotgun to shoot at something, it was like grabbing something that was just coated in ice.
Yeah.
And all the decoys had ice on them, and that makes it tough, but we had low visibility, so we really got away with a lot of it. But that was my last day of duck hunting. Was that day we had that freezing rain and the blizzard that ensued, and then the next day it was more rain and then more snow. And if you're in Fairbanks, you know what I'm talking about with that crazy storm we had over the course of like 2-3 days.
Yeah, a lot of vehicle damage during those 2 or 3 days.
Oh yeah.
Good night.
Oh yeah, I was white knuckling my whole way back home, man. I had this person talking to me. and this is the only thing that was keeping me from between the lines, because I'm just like, yeah, just grabbing that steering wheel, about to rip it off
with a boat on the back,
with dragging a boat behind it, and then oh gosh, and it was like you try to get above 40 miles an hour, and it's like, oh, there it goes,
kick sideways. Yep. My wife was on the phone with me right after that storm. We get our milk from a local farmer here, Sport Local, right? So I was on my way to go do that pickup because it's kind of a gnarly drive to get to where they're at. And I was like, oh, I'll take my truck. I got the better tires. It's 20 years newer or whatever. And I go up there, and I've never been to this farm before. So Google Maps takes me to the wrong driveway.
Oh, perfect.
And this hill that this farm is on is insanely steep. It is insanely steep. Nobody should live up there. But they do. And so I pull into this wrong driveway, and I'm like, oh, snap, wrong house number. Back out of the driveway and go up, brake traction. And I slid backwards, gaining speed, like probably a good 80 yards or so, just down this hill backwards. And she's on the phone with me, and I'm kind of narrating the whole thing, and she's freaking out more than I am, but I'm like, I'm just trying to keep control, and doesn't matter what I'm doing, not gaining control. Well, eventually, all I could do, I'm going backwards anyway, slapped it into reverse, turned the wheel towards this cutout that somebody had plowed, this little pull off.
Yeah.
And just gunned to the gas to try and get my truck to kick sideways enough to get into there. And thank God it did.
Yeah. Oh.
And as soon as I got into that, it wasn't ice, it was fresh pushed snow. And so I gained traction and just came to a screeching halt. And dude, it was gnarly.
I've been on this hill you live on with my old truck. The old 2-wheel drive, the old heavy Chevy, the 6-lug thug, man. I've come up that hill and lost traction right there, right at the top, and right hand. Thank God nobody was behind me, because I start sliding backwards, and I've ripped a J hook. I've ripped a J hook into the opposite lane, back down, and then tried my hand at going all the way out and around the long way home before. It's not fun when it gets bad up here.
Everyone always loses it at the top on one side or the other.
Yeah.
You're right.
Well, there was that truck that was, not to give away where I live, but there was that truck that was flipped over upside down on the way over.
That could be, you could live anywhere. Say that does not narrow it down.
Is that thing still sitting there?
No, they finally hauled it off the ditch.
Oh, dude. I was going to go take the rims off that thing. That had some nice rims. I'm like, pull a night off and get those rims off. It's good they got that out of there.
Yeah.
I've been eyeing them up.
Yeah, dude. And it was, I don't know how fast that dude was going, because I've lost control going over that
probably
hill
wasn't
too.
Going fast at all.
But
probably just did something squirrely.
Well, and this is my first year living on this hill too, so I mean,
you'll learn.
It was gnarly.
It gets hairy.
Yeah.
It gets hairy up here. I lived back over here for 2 years, and I'll tell you what, it just you just deal with it.
Keeps you on your toes.
You gotta. Some days when you'll leave work, you'll think I should probably go the long way today.
we do that a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I just said I've done that plenty of times, dude. But yeah, accounting for the weather up here. So thankful I got to hunt as long as I did. Like I said, I think I hunted around 40 days of the season.
Awesome, dude.
Where even the most committed waterfowl hunter in the lower 48, where they usually have a relatively consistent 90-day season, whether it's an early teal season, which we don't have here. It's just ducks. And then they have that early goose season, and then a duck season, and then a goose season, which, like I said, spans with about 90 days. If you're lucky to hunt 40 days, even the most committed waterfowler down in the States, that's a That's a lot of days. And that's
Yeah.
hands down the most I've ever hunted in the state of Alaska, let alone wherever I've hunted from growing up to coming out here. But yeah, I'm about to go give it another 40 days down.
I was gonna say, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah,
You're not done yet.
No, I'm not. I'm following him, man.
They ain't getting away from old Maxwell.
I've got some names, man. I've got some names I'm coming for. But
what's the rest of those GPS trackers?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go find some more. But yeah, what is today? The 16th.
Yep.
It is the 16th today. By the 26th, I will be down in the Weatherford, Oklahoma area. I've gotten hired on by another guide down there, Redbeard, ran by a guy named Zach Weaver, and my buddy Ryan. He was working for him for the past few years. Fortunate enough, Zach actually came up and hunted with us for like a week. He kind of liked what I was smelling like up here, so he decided to hire me on. He needed a goose guy down there and hopefully be able to hunt some ducks too. But I'll be down in the like Fort Cobb state park area, big, huge body of water.
Okay.
I think our season down there, like I was saying earlier, you get like these weird slotted seasons throughout the year. I think they have something called like a turn, like the second turn. So right now they're in like a duck season. And then after Thanksgiving is when the goose season opens up.
Okay.
Goose and duck. And then I'll be hunting the second wave of waterfowl down there. Let's see, like from about December 1st through January 31st. Got a lot on my plate, man. I've never hunted like that area before. Hoping that I can kind of jump into the swing of things and figure it out quick and be able to produce some birds for some clients down there.
Heck yeah, dude.
But yeah, that should be fun. It's going to be something I haven't done in a long time. That's putting a lot of miles on to find birds and to get on them and to set up. I mean, I've just been so fortunate up here to be able to hunt one field, and it's like you just wait for them to come to you.
Right.
Like down there, I could be traveling 150 miles just to go hunt one field because I saw a few hundred birds on it.
Wow.
The day before. The guy I'm working for.
You dragging the clients that far too?
Yeah, we'll give them a pin and be like, meet here at the corner of this gas station, and they'll follow us the last 10 miles into there. But it's going to be a lot of early mornings. 3 o'clock in the morning, wake up, get in the truck with the trailer, drive out to the field, set everything up by, hopefully 5:30, 6, depending on the shooting light. Get the clients in there, beat birds up until noon, 1 o'clock. And that's how it's going to get run. That's how waterfowl hunts should be ran. But just up here, it's Alaska. We have a completely different pattern of the birds. They fly all day, and you just got to kind of get in front of them and hope you're in a good position. But there, it's you go find a field with birds in it. This is hunting them the right way. You go find a field with birds in them. You put them to sleep at night. You move in there early in the morning. You set up. You shoot them all morning, and then you tear down and get out of there.
Right.
And then you spend the afternoon looking for your next pot of birds to hunt. Like I said, our boy Zach down there has been doing it for a long time. He's got a lot of connections. Devery, he's our land manager. He's the guy who goes up to farmers and kind of grease some palms and does some name dropping and tries to get us into these places. And like I said, they've been doing it for a long time, so they've got a lot of places where we can connect on some birds.
Awesome.
Right now, I think he said he's been hunting just this week alone. I think they've shot close to like 80 something ducks, like just this week alone in 4 or 5 hunts. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, and he said there's not even any ducks down there right now. So I'm
that's
like,
a bad week.
I don't know how that computes, man. But
is that going to be a lot more work for you as far as putting clients on like identified birds rather than just because up here they're kind of non-distinguished.
Yeah, 100%. Down there in Oklahoma, it's a completely different bag limit. Up here in Alaska, it's 10 ducks.
Right.
Doesn't matter if they're drake or hens. Down in Oklahoma, there's a bag limit for like pintails, right? You can only shoot 2 pintails. And if you're shooting mallards, you're allowed to shoot 5 of them, and only 2 of them are allowed to be hens, right? And so you got to be winging them, sexing them on the wing and hitting them. And then, oh, God forbid, some guy hits another extra hen pintail or something. And then it's going to be a lot of work like across the board.
Right.
I've never gotten up. Well, scratch. I haven't gotten up this early probably so many days in a row like I'm going to. I've definitely got up at midnight.
Right.
And went out and held a spot on a lake with me and my dad all morning until it's time to bang them in the morning. But it's
all those memes about public land duck hunters. Like,
yeah.
Not feeling sorry for the deer hunters that have to be up at 5 and 4.
Don't care.
Like,
No.
1 a.m. you're rolling out.
I've told the story on here before. My dad and I were out hunting public land. We got there at like 3:00 in the morning. Somebody had all their decoys set out there, but nobody was there. And so at this point, it was kind of illegal to go set up your decoys and then leave and then come back. So we had packed all this guy's stuff up for him and put him off to on the bank. And when the guy showed up, 30 minutes before shooting light, he was like, "What are you guys doing here?" And we told him the game warden was out here. And we took control. We just said, "Oh yeah, these are ours. Don't worry." Or we said we packed him up for him and threw him on the bank so he wouldn't get popped for it. And he's like, "Oh, thanks." And then he went and got his decoys and then went and crossed the lake and went somewhere else. But yeah, that's the shiesty stuff you got to do. Public land,
Right.
48.
It's cutthroat out here, man.
Oh God, I won't do that stuff anymore. I'll just be like, "Yeah, man, we're going somewhere else now. I don't need to shoot a duck that bad to lie to somebody." But yeah, we've done those midnights, where you get up at midnight and go out and set everything up at 1 a.m. and then fall asleep on a tree. And then we hang a headlamp from a tree right there, so nobody comes over and really looks at us. They think it looks like a guy standing there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't tell you how many times I've slept in the bottom of a boat waiting for shooting light, just trying to get some shut eye.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be like that. These are all private leases down there. It's just to the point of getting in there and getting set up is what we're worried about. But yeah, we're going to be shooting a plethora of actually nice looking birds.
Right.
Up here, you got to wait till late October, November to shoot a decent looking mallard. I mean, even to the point where you're picking out a good like Drake mallard as compared to a hen, because in early September, they all look the same until you shoot one and they get up in your hands and be like, "Oh yeah, this is definitely a hen." But yeah, this is going to be an exceptional feat of strength I'm about to go through. I can't wait. It's going to be totally different, like geometry, the Great Plains, fields scattered
geography
everywhere. Yeah, totally different geography.
Yeah.
Hey man, I am a casualty of the Chicago public school system. You come off of it, all right? I know how to shoot ducks and geese, man. Catch fish. That's all I need to know to survive in this world, okay?
Well, you've done well on it so far.
But it's gonna be different for sure. I'm so excited to be hunting down there with those guys. I'm so excited to be hunting a different place.
Yep.
I haven't done all I can up here, but I feel like I'm reaching that point to where I've just about done everything there is to do up here. Coastal sea ducks, interior ducks and puddles, and then your field hunting for cranes and geese. I think next on my list I'm going to do up here is try to get out one of these seasons for maybe a quick turn and burn for a swan.
Yeah,
out on the western regions. I've got some people I want to pick some brains about. And then I also want to try to get onto some like really rare Kodiak birds, like maybe an eider.
Yo.
I know they have 2 different eiders out there, and unfortunately, they just shut down the emperor geese season for next year. They just opened it. It's only been open for a couple of years.
Right.
But I guess the numbers aren't looking so good, so they just shut those down.
Dang.
I know a lot of guys are like last minute booking trips, getting out to Kodiak this year to shoot one.
Right.
But that just won't be available here in 2025, unfortunately. So I've got to wait to get
till they open
back,
it again.
Yeah, back on that wagon when they finally open that up. If I imagine they'll open it up again in my lifetime, they gotta.
Oh, I'm sure.
And when they do, I'll be booking my trip and getting out there.
Right. Yeah, it's just sad they're not seeing those numbers yet.
But on top of that, I'd really like to try to get on to a subsistence waterfowl hunt in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
When the birds come back up.
Right. Right.
I like to go to some of like the rural areas of Alaska and maybe help out some friends to try to get their bag limits of ducks.
Yeah.
From what I understand, I can shoot, but I just can't retain a bag limit.
Right. You don't get your own, but
but heck, I like shooting them, and I just like being in the blind. So
yeah, if nothing else, you're helping other people get food on the table.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I don't see a problem with that, but just be able to go and shoot nice looking birds here in the springtime when they're not molting or they look all like hens.
Right on.
But yeah, now
sounds like there's plenty to do here still for you.
There's plenty to do here still. Yeah. Okay. And that's just in the waterfowl aspect.
I know, right?
But
it's the best part about living here, man.
But yeah, I'll be leaving here in 3 short days. I'm going down to Illinois, see my father. We're gonna go out deer hunting. Illinois shotgun opener opens up next weekend. Try to get out, see some old friends, say hi, go out, try to get a deer. You know what a deer tag, an either sex deer tag costs in the state of Illinois for a shotgun only season? $300.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense.
I'll tell you what, Neil, I'll tell you this right now. I'd hate to be a deer. Walk by me out there. I'd hate to be a deer to walk by 75 yards, man. Oh, I'd hate to be anything that walked by me.
You know how much I paid for this?
For $300, man. I'd hate to be a deer to walk by me.
Yeah, I took. I think I paid. Let's see, my out-of-state license last time I hunted deer in Michigan was, I want to say like $200 and something bucks.
Jeez.
And then the tags I got, they do a package tag. So you get, I think it's like 2 does and a buck or something like that.
Yeah,
maybe $2 and a doe, whatever it was. I don't remember now. But I got the deer package, right? Which was like another $150 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the guy that I was hunting with that had the land, ended up getting COVID after the first day. So I only got 1 day out there. And I had 2 does run through, and I was like, maybe like at the end of the week I'll take a doe or something like that. But I'll wait for a buck. There's got to be a buck coming through at some point. And it just poured down rain on us. It was cold, nasty, and he kept asking me. He's like, "You want to sit?" I'm like, "If it's legal, I'm sitting. Like, I'm not caving from the weather, man. I'm from Alaska." And so I passed on those does, and I was kicking myself so hard. I was like, I just threw away all this money. I could have at least got some venison out of the deal.
Yeah, as the saying goes, right?
Yeah.
Shoot something on the first day you would love to have on the last.
Or never pass on the first day what you would love to have on the last. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I hear that. And I'm just saying, I'd hate to be anything for $300, dude. Anything come with a shotgun range, dude. I'd hate to be a deer to walk by me, dude.
Are those spots?
Oh, dude. I'll tell you that right now. I'm thinking about that. I'm like, man, I'm from around the way, I'm coming home with something, dude. I'm coming home with something, bro.
Heck yeah, man. I'm excited for you.
Yeah, man. Me too. It's going to be good to see family, see some old hunting partners. And then it starts to work.
Yeah.
Then it starts to work. But,
yep.
Like I said earlier, after that, I'll be traveling down to a little place called Mazatlan, Mexico. It's on the west coast of Mexico, right? It's pretty much even with the south of the Baja Peninsula, like straight inland.
Okay. Yep.
I guess there's a huge amount of ducks that fly down in there. All the teal green wing, blue wing, cinnamon teal, lots of pintails, lots of I guess they have a Mexican black duck down there.
Really?
Yeah. I guess that's like the big 5 down there to get. If I'm fortunate enough, I'm gonna try to get all 3 of those. I'm gonna be hunting there for like 3 days. I'm gonna try to take like another 7 to just kind of bop around, and I'm gonna go see some cool things. I hear you can get on a sailfish charter for like really cheap.
That'd be cool.
I think go out and fish for a day for like, I think it's the guy said like $100 will get me out on a
Dude,
boat.
there's some good fishing down there too.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's right off that Baja Peninsula. There's a lot of fish that stack
Mhm.
up on those reefs out there.
Yeah. And you got that exchange rate working in your favor too.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
exactly. So
Yes, sir.
I think if I can get all 5 of those ducks, I'll be happy. But I guess it's just insane. Like you hide behind a stick out on like this little flood plain, like a wet kind of marsh, like wet dirt. Essentially, you hide behind a stick or a piece of plywood, and he said if you don't shoot all of your ducks in the first morning, like you're doing something wrong. And the limit's 25.
Whoa.
The guy gives you you pay for 3 boxes of shells, and if you can't go 1 for 3 all morning, like you are doing something wrong.
Whoa.
But yeah, he said they just come by in the masses. They fly like within 25 yards of you. And you just sit there and shoot all morning.
Nice.
So I plan to spend my mornings shooting ducks and my evenings like sitting on the beach, just hanging out.
Heck yeah. Sounds like
Dude, that's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Sounds like a good
extremely
time.
stoked. I'm so stoked.
Yeah.
Are you a lobster guy?
A big lobster guy.
Bro, you gotta hit some lobsters up.
I'll do it, dude.
That's like lobster time. Right in it. Yeah.
I'm gonna go try.
Totally.
I'm gonna go there to hunt, but other than that, dude, I'm gonna be a huge tourist.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
heck
you gotta
I'm
be,
gonna
man.
Rent a bicycle for 50 cents a day or
Heck
something.
yeah, dude.
Just drive around and try not to get mugged.
What's what Madeline and I were saying about
Dude,
the,
all that food is so good too.
Yeah.
And the culture is so awesome down
Oh
there.
yeah.
People are so kind. And
Yeah.
Well, that's like when my wife and I went to South Africa. That's what we walked away with, was like, we went there to hunt and we were there for the duration of the hunting time, but we were like, man, next time we got to book like an extra week or 2, because there's so much around you. It's like, yeah, it's great to go there and do something you're passionate about and like enjoy a different version of that, right? If you can get on some different ducks or something like that. But like, man, like you're somewhere super cool. Like
miss
that.
out on
like,
a bunch of other stuff because you're there hunting or something.
Right. I mean, there's so much other stuff
Dude,
to travel.
I almost, the way you guys have talked about Africa, I almost can't even imagine going hunting there. Like, dude, just because it's like I would be so, I think
Everything
I'd be more
else to
hooked on the
do.
culture. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
No, if you can do like an 8-day hunt, like a safari, which is pretty standard. And then on top of that, do like 8 days of just driving around and just going like, because again, the food over there, same thing. It's great. It's like, oh man, they have these pork strips that they do. Oh, it's like bacon, but like 3 times as thick and like just that much better too. And they grill it up crisp. Oh man, it's the best thing in the world. Like,
what do they do with it?
Oh,
like,
it's just like bacon,
chow
but
it
just
straight
thick.
up.
It's like just a thick strip of bacon.
Dude,
so
I'm
it's like
thinking like-
actually hearty, like meal status bacon.
I'm envisioning
Cool.
like a giant BLT or something.
Oh, you could, yeah, you could. We just mowed on them, dude. We would do like just like with the barbecue. They call like I think it's a braai over there is how they pronounce it, but it's they're what they call a barbecue, and that's all you do is just brats and those pork strips.
Dude.
And it was, dude, it was so good.
I think if I get like 10 days in Mexico, I'll be happy.
Yeah.
I'll be happy.
Yeah.
I booked my hunt. I haven't booked my tickets yet because I don't know what's going to happen with the end of my waterfowl season. It'll be buttoned right up to it. So I'll be packing up and leaving straight from Oklahoma, Texas area to Mexico.
Yeah.
Are you flying in?
Yeah, I'll be flying.
Nice.
I'm going to leave all my non-essential in Oklahoma with.
You're not taking your shotgun and stuff.
No, I can't, it's too much paperwork.
Yeah.
Way too much
Yeah.
money. The guy will rent me one for, pennies on the dollar a day.
Yeah.
And when I come back through, I'll just stop and pick it all up and then come back up north.
Yeah, back to the cold.
But yeah, this is
Jump straight from 90 plus to 40 below.
Oh, yeah, right. But it'll be fine, dude. Like I'll come back. I'll be able to catch up on some ice fishing.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have a good chunk of change from guiding in my pocket.
There you go.
And then it'll be back to work, April, May, about that time frame when our
rough life.
I know, right? So tough. So tough. Then it'll be
I didn't say it.
This is the this is the biggest like logistical feat I have ever had in my life, trying to figure out all this stuff to do in 1 year. And I'm so excited. I've never done anything like this in the past year. And I honestly, I owe all of that to that new job I picked up over the summer, like, yeah. And anybody out there like listening, like, yeah, it sucks like working, but if you could find a good job that's seasonal with, good bosses, which is, oh gosh, that's a lot of hoops to jump through to try to find that. You can make it happen.
Yeah.
I can't wait to come back here in like 3 months and just tell you everything that's kind of happened and what went down and how I did it. I'm really hoping that somebody can kind of hear a story like this and think like, if that Max from freaking Alaska can do it, I could probably figure that out too.
Heck yeah, dude.
Yeah, man. And it's the time of life to do stuff like that, and it's like, that's, so many people I feel like, and even I'm guilty of it, I when I was in my mid 20s, and I know you're not in your mid 20s.
I am in my mid 20s.
You're in your upper 20s now, but
26.
Are you 26? I thought you were 28.
I'm 26.
Oh, okay.
I turned 27 in February.
Really? I thought you were older than that.
Oh.
Well, you've done a lot.
I'm trying, dude. I'm trying. I got to get it done now while these knees
still work. I know. Well, I was going to say, I was working, 90-hour weeks year round,
right.
just not knowing any better, just not having anything better to do. And like, and then spending all my money, I was still broke every payday. And like, it's just not the way to go. If you can travel, see things, get experiences, get those memories that'll last you forever, dude, that's the way to go.
Yeah.
Like,
I got to do that now before I'm too old and I can't physically do it.
Yep.
And kudos, I've taken some old guys out hunting and it's like kudos to them. They've worked their entire lives. I mean, when I did the big game stuff, a lot of money in that big game stuff, man. And those guys are people who have built businesses, who are multimillionaires who go out, and it's not like they I've taken those guys out and I've taken the guys who have, saved up their whole life to try to do something like this. And, all across the board, it seems like they're all just hurting, they're old. They've been working their entire lives. And I just don't want to do that when I'm, 50, 60 years old, 70 years old. Like I want to be able to, raise my kids to the point where I could still maneuver and kind of teach them what's going on. And then hopefully they can have enough knowledge and wisdom to where they could figure out what I have done in my younger years. And hopefully they can do it too.
Yep.
The biggest thing I hear from those older guys, man, is just like, don't slow down. If you can do it, do it. Like if you're at the tip of a cliff and you don't know what to do, whether take that leap and try to do something you've never done before, or just walk back to the house and sit down, and then they just kick themselves at the end of the day. Like, yeah, like I know guys who say like on my deathbed, I'll never say I wish I made some more money.
Right. Right.
I wish I, worked more. They're always going to say, I wish I took that jump. Yeah. When I was 20 odd years old.
Exactly.
And that's my life. It feels like that's what a lot of people's life should be is, a series of risks and jumps. Cause if you never take them, you're always going to be wondering like what happened.
Well, and the best part too is like people get addicted to the planning. Oh, my life's going to be like this and it's going to go like this and it's going to go like this. Well, if you're in your early 20s and you think you have it all planned out, I got a news flash for you. Some hiccups coming down the road.
Right.
Something's going to happen.
Right. Whether it's the truck breaking down or you breaking down or a family member breaking down.
That company going out of business, the economy crashing, the
something
housing market crashing.
Things out of your control that are going to happen and you realistically cannot plan for.
No, but when you take that leap and you expose yourself to these different elements when you have no idea what's about to happen, dude, it can completely change your direction in life. And it happened to me. You know,
Mhm.
I didn't think I'd be where I am now.
Right.
Like whether that
No.
for better or worse, right? Like,
Yeah. If you asked me 2 years ago, like if I made the amount of money I made over a summer to the point where I don't really need to work through the winter, to, hey, Maxwell, like 20, 24, 23-year-old Maxwell, hey, dude, you're going to be traveling all across the United States into Mexico to just hunt ducks
right?
for fun and for work. Like, I would have been like, yeah, dude, yeah, whatever. Like, there's no way. Like, I would have thought when I was, living next to you, Chris, I never thought I was going to be able to be somewhere to where I could sit on my butt for a month and do practically nothing or whatever I wanted to do for a month and not have to work. Like, I thought that was going to be a long time
There's
coming.
certain personalities that track that kind of lifestyle down. You know, it's
Right.
That's like, and I'm listening to you guys. I got a few miles on both you guys.
I know. Yeah.
But like,
Old man.
old gray fox, they call him.
The mad trapper.
No, like you got to do it now. You know, when I was working up, like I went and worked in Prudhoe, and I've done my contracting thing here and there, and now that's what I'm doing primarily. But you work around a lot of old timers, and you just talk to those dudes, and they're like, "Go do it, go do it, go do it," and that's what I've done. And then a lot of these guys, and God bless them, but I hear a lot of people talk about retirement, and a lot of guys that work like we do, doing physical jobs, don't make it to retirement.
Right.
And so you're going to wait for what? Something that maybe never comes. I mean,
well, and what's worse is you hear about the ones that do retire and they're rolled over 2 years later or a year later because they quit moving. They didn't go chase passions or hobbies.
Dude, and
or
my
anything.
pops, he just turned 79, and I'll talk to him about this once in a while. He's like, dude, body in motion stays in motion.
Yes.
And he's like, and even it's funny too, because he's never given me that kind of advice. Like, you gotta bust your ass so that you can pay the bills and blah blah blah. He's like, make sure you have fun too.
Yeah,
you know, and
yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's good advice, but it's sure been fun. I mean,
you only get one trip around.
Yeah,
yeah.
And then and I don't know. I stay busy right now. My son's not old enough to do this stuff, quite all of it yet, but and I hear guys that are my age that have kids my my son's age, and well, when he starts getting interest, it's like, well, if you're not doing this stuff right now,
right,
you're not going to be set up to pass this on.
Yeah.
And
well, and just for anybody listening that's in their young 20s that's working 80-hour weeks, year round and thinking they're invincible. I'm 34. I'll be turning 35 in February, and I am actively trying to rehabilitate my knees simply from trade work. Like, not from any wild, crazy thing I could tell you. Like, oh man, I had this goat on my back and I fell down 100 yards.
By a forklift.
Right. Like,
I've got wild, crazy things and construction on top of those
climbing ladders,
things.
carrying bunks of 2x4s, installing outlets at 18 inches above the floor level.
I mean, even those guys in high school, they get messed up playing sports, dude. Yeah. That's what happened to me. I mean, I blew out my knee 3 times playing high school sports.
Yep.
And it's like never been the same, but that did not keep me from, trying my hand at being a sheep guide.
Yep.
That did not keep me, like, sure it hurt, dude. Sure, I was sucking down Advils like it was going out of style. But dude, I just shrugged that off because there's going to be a time in your life where you're going to look back and you're going to be thinking like, man, I should have done that.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to live as good as I can to where I'm not going to look back and be like, man, what happened? Should I have taken that risk? And there's plenty of things in my life to where I do like think that where I'm like, man, I should have been on that big game hunt, or I should have been doing that. Like, there's still, I've done plenty. I've done plenty of stuff to, kind of outdo a lot of guys my age, but I'm not saying I'm better than them, because there's a lot of 26-year-olds out there that are actually millionaires that do less work than me, whether it's like this like weird stuff on social media. But I'm 26 years old, and there's still a lot of regrets I have about stuff that I've done, and I know I'm going to have more regrets later in life, but I'm just trying to live to the point where I don't want to think in like 5 years times and be like, man, what would happen if I did not do that, or what would have happened if I did try that? You know, I just roll with the punches. And if you have regrets in your life, like it's best not to dwell. You just can't dwell on those regrets, man. You got to take it for what it's worth. Like, man, if you've messed up, like I've messed up, and I just think of like things I could do to better myself.
Because then your next regret is going to be focusing on your regrets for so long that you miss the next opportunity.
Yeah, man.
The answer to that is do something today.
Yep. Jump.
Do something. Yeah. Like get off on X. Do something.
What the army? Yes.
Sorry, I had to say it.
What the army used to tell us: we're not paid to think, we're paid to do.
Right.
So
that.
Go do.
Well, you know what I always say,
go forth and do.
Talking ain't doing.
Exactly.
It's just get out. Like, you know, you gotta go. Just gotta go do stuff. That's why we're here. Yep. If we didn't live this way, well, then we could go live in LA and be content that we live here for this.
Yep.
And the money's never going to be there. The finances are never going to be right. Some guys have that dialed in, but the finances are never going to be right. The circumstances are never going to be right.
Well, it's like waiting for the right time to have a kid, right? It's like you're never going to feel 100% ready.
God let me know when that was time.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Especially like guys my age, I see like even like the military, or like just guys who like, man, I hate to say it, but like the guys who work at like a fast food place like my age, or like Walmart or something. Like, you know, when I got out of the army, I started working at this at the sporting goods shop in town behind the gun counter. I wasn't making good money, so I got another job at Walmart. You know how many days I lasted at Walmart? I lasted 1 day.
Really?
At Walmart. I saw the type of people that I was surrounded by there. And I was like, man, this is not it.
Yeah.
Like, this is not it. I worked like, what was it? Like 9 to 5 at the gun counter. And then I'd take a couple hours, and then I worked from like 10 to 4 a.m. at Walmart, like being an overnight stalker.
You probably did what I used to do. Yeah.
Like I did that for 1 day. Yep. And I saw everybody around me, and I saw like these absolute zombies, man, who just have this like in this rut, or just like that guy who's flipping burgers at McDonald's or something. And I see that. I'm like, dude, like, I wish they could get out of that. I wish they could find something.
Well, and God bless those people for doing that.
And,
you know, but
we need those people too.
That need to do that, but I want those people to have a better life than just that.
And some people are content with different things too.
I understand that.
We all want to go out and get silly.
Right.
We want to go we want to go cowboy.
Right.
A lot of it is you wish they had the confidence and the belief in themselves.
Yeah. I want to see that drive in more people. I hate seeing people
who think this is all I got.
Yep, this is all they got, and that's the best they can do, or they blame others for their low falls and their shortcomings, and I got nobody to blame but myself. What's that thing? Like one finger pointed at somebody, like there's 3 of them pointed right back at you.
Yep.
Like
that's why you do the command hand.
Yeah, the knife hand. All of them pointed away from you. But yeah, gosh, I hope that there's somebody out there that listens to this podcast.
Yep.
And it's something just sparks in them, whether it's like, man, if that guy can do it, I can do it. That is my like life view, like everywhere. Like if so-and-so, if that guy can do it, I can do it.
Baby steps.
Like, why not?
Yep. Dude, it took me hopping 10 different jobs to get into the career I have now. And a lot of it was blind applications, and just worst they're going to say is no. If I'm going to tell myself no, I might as well make them tell me no.
But you also had that. So like, and I'd like to think it kind of applies to me too. I had 1 day where I had been bouncing from gun counter to guide gig to some stocking position at a warehouse in town, back to guide gig, back to gun counter, I had a really good job, but I just hated the people. I don't want to say hated. I really did not like the class of people I worked with, and I just had bad feelings, and I eventually got fired from that because I had a poor attitude because I was working at a poor place, and then back to the gun counter, and then this kind of I would say traumatic experience happened to me where I am like, I am not doing this anymore.
Mhm.
I'm going to straighten my stuff out. Like, I don't know how like religious everybody who listens to this, but I kind of had a little experience with God, you know, found God, straightened myself out. And that put me on an amazing path to find this job. You know, I got clean. Like I joke about it a lot. I was a chronic inebriate, you know, then, you know, you do some of that dumb stuff. It really closes the door on a lot of opportunities you can have for yourself.
Yeah.
But, you know, you quit some bad habits, you straighten yourself out, and you get into these positions to where you could make a lot of money in a short amount of time. I'm fortunate enough where my job is seasonal, and the managers and people I work for are totally okay with me taking that month off. Now I understand some people just can't do that. Like maybe they got to work full time, but as long as when you get those breaks, you know, you get to go out and follow those ambitions, those passions, whether it's duck hunting, whether it's big game stuff, whether it's learning how to sew or creating like a brand for yourself, or you know,
whatever
volunteering, you know, something that like not only benefit you, but hopefully benefit like your community.
And brings you that fulfillment.
But just like getting up off the couch and like, if this is something I learned too. Every time you get mad at your job, you throw out an application somewhere else and just start throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, man. But I'm just wishing that everybody has like, just get that better ambition, whether it's even like getting in the gym, dude. I see, like, I can't speak for myself. I've been out of the gym for almost a year now, and I'll make every excuse in the book, but then again, it's all my fault. You know?
Sure. Yeah.
You know, but yeah, just doing something to better yourself like every day, and just follow those passions and dreams, or like getting a dream or doing something to stray off of this rut that you're in.
You know what we used to say when I was really big into mud in my truck, and it applies to life too. Stuck is a state of mind.
Stuck is a state of mind. Amen to that, man.
Yep.
Amen to that. Yeah, get out of that rut. Get the winch out, man.
Yep, get the winch.
Get the winch out.
Tie a stick to that.
Get that jack
tire.
out, man.
Do something.
Right.
Like, stuck is a state of mind.
High lift.
Yeah, get that high lift out. Yeah.
We ain't all got them hydraulic suspensions that can, you know, pop you out of a rut, but man, you can always do something. So,
amen.
Well, cool, Max. I am excited to hear about what stories you come home with. We'll have to have you back on to tell them all for the listeners too. I'm sure they're going to be rooting for you.
It'll be sooner than you think, man. Like, I know this season's going to fly by for me. I'm going to have so much fun, dude. I'm so stoked. I'm so ecstatic.
Yep. Get your tan on before the dark winter.
I'm gonna come back tan, man. I'm gonna come back so tan.
Unless you're like me, I just turn red. I never actually tan.
Oh, see, that gives me a good base.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, everybody listening, thank you so much for hanging in on this one with us. If you have any questions or anything you want to ask us about, go to the website, thenorthernhunter.com. We got a nice contact button on the homepage there. It'll get an email out to me and Chris. While you're there, if you hit the shop page, we got some merch. We got hats, hoodies, t-shirts, and all the good stuff, as well as a partners page with a bunch of great companies that have decided they like what we're doing. They gave us some discount codes. Go shop from them. Use that code. Get yourself some quality outdoor gear at a discount. If you could, share this episode with anyone you think might enjoy listening to it. There's always a share button. And go check out our social medias on either Facebook or Instagram. We've got, if you search @The Northern Hunter, and TikTok now. We're starting to we got a little bit of a TikTok going on. There ain't a whole lot there, but it's rolling. So
cool.
Yeah, send us a message on either of those. We try to respond as fast as we can. And give us a follow. It really helps us out and grow. That's the only kind of marketing we do here. So Maxwell, thank you once again for sitting down with us. It's been an absolute pleasure as always.
Man, dude, thanks again for having me. It's always a pleasure coming on here and talking with you guys, getting to catch up.
Yeah, 100%.
Good seeing you, buddy.
You too, man. You
Yeah.
too.
I wish I could have come and froze with you the few times that you went there, but
We always got next year.
Yeah.
We always got next year.
Hey, we just talked about that.
There's my regret.
That's your regret. We'll fix that regret next year, man. We'll fix that regret.
All right. Thank you too, Chris, for hanging in there. And to everybody listening, don't live with regrets. Get out there and make it happen. As we always say here, get out there, get after it, and good luck. We'll see you next week.